Start recording. Okay. Sit back and relax while you listen to Trainkickers podcast. I'm Dave, and along with my co-hosts Stan and Steve, we take all around the world of miniature wargaming. On tonight's Steveless episode, I know he started a new job and he's had some computer issues, so he's been a little MIA lately. But I'm sure we'll be getting him back hopefully very soon. But since we don't have Steve tonight, we thought we would go about 10,000 years into the future and discuss some 40k rather than 30k. We want to go over the Chthonian book and all, but we'd really like to have him around for that. So what we thought we would do, much like we did for 30k, we've done some deep dives there through the different factions and legions and all of that. And we're going to start doing the same thing for 40k. So on tonight's episode, we are going to be going through Chaos Demons. Now, I don't know exactly how far we're going to get into here. It'll be titled underneath when you take a look. But our goal is to see how far we get. I know when we do the other deep dives, it's a very reasonably slow process to get through all of it. Some parts of this might be a little faster. Some may not. So I don't want to preface by saying how many we'll get through. But we're going to see exactly how far we get. Beyond that, unfortunately, last week, the goal was to film some battle reports at a 40k tournament we were going to have, but due to some air conditioner problems, that did not occur. We should hopefully be filming some more stuff on this Friday, as well as potential on Saturday as well, so we're hopefully going to start getting some more battle reports and sort of those things out as well. A few other things that I'm working on as well that you should hopefully be seeing soon, although right now, trying to get terrain together for Shatterpoint event that we're running, which is on Saturday. All right.
If there's air conditioning.
No, the air conditioning upstairs is working, so we will fit everyone upstairs, so it'll be okay. Yeah, I don't know if the overall will, but they put a big old unit upstairs, so we will at least be able to do that. All right, and now on with the show. All right, Dan, how are you on this? It is Wednesday.
I'm good.
night.
I'm recovering. A lot of personal problems that happened within a very short span of school ending, but thankfully, like the one I'll speak about for now is like the sciatica came back. Of course, that sucked, but recovering slowly from the multiple stressors that have happened. So I'm like, I'm good. Which is funny though, because it actually got me to sit down and paint. Because the more stress that happened got me to like just kind of paint and relax because it's my relaxing. So I painted. Well, he doesn't exist anymore, which is a problem. Like I'll say the name, but he doesn't exist in Forge World anymore. They took him out. It's Mozral the Butcher. It's this guy, this Khorne demon with a huge face shield. Literally a face shield. And I did really good work on the face. I was really happy with how it came out. But I used him as Bellicor, essentially. And then I painted some Brutes. I painted some Aquilon Terminators from the Custodians. So I got down and heavy into the painting. But yeah, I've been pretty good. Like it's been stress, but I'm alive.
That's at some points that's what matters. I mean, like I said, I already apologized once before. I'll do it again for not really getting much out last month because for various reasons. Again, not really going to go into this, but for various reasons, for a lot of us, just things kept coming up, and it just made it for a really rough month to get things done. Was able to get some content out, and I have some other stuff ready. Like there were some other battle reports we had, but the audio that we had was just bad. So I've purchased some new audio stuff that should be arriving tomorrow. So I should be testing that out on Friday, and it's the stuff that War Games Live streams with. So I know from listening to his stuff, he gets good audio, so I know this stuff can do it.
Nice.
Some hardware problem with
it was the mic. Yeah, it was the mic. Yeah, which was surprising because it was so funny. I was like, I remember telling you, I was like, hey, I thought the voice was really good. I listened to like the first 30, 45 minutes, and you're like, no, it kicked in like an hour and a half in, and I'm like, damn it.
Because I tested it multiple people, multiple places, even at home, and just the one robot's out. It's some sort of weird hardware thing because I thought it might be even if it's a frequency thing, I can't change the frequencies on those. But I was in different locations, so it shouldn't be a frequency issue. I tried them in essentially dead zones of nothing, but that stuff still had those sort of issues. Always the one side, because it wasn't even a thing of like someone, like the gain was too off. Because I had someone use it who is a much calmer, quieter speaker. Still had those problems. People are louder, still had those problems. So should have a nice thing coming in on Thursday, and then I know Ernest and I, the goal is to record a Leviathan battle report of just like the starter box size. I'm doing a Space Marine, so it might be minus a model or two, just because the Space Marines outpoint the Tyranids. But to do that as sort of a, how to play this game and start kind of building ourselves up from there. But
All right.
But it's July, so we'll get back to doing hopefully a whole bunch of stuff because I still have most of my nights are still good, so I can still hopefully do a bunch of things. And if we're trying to do this 40K stuff, we might have to try to record a bit more often so we can get through it because we don't want to be doing this next year.
The
still trying to
irony
get through
that
Index.
I have more 40K armies than 30K.
Yeah. Well, remember that we're going to talk about the ones we don't have as well, which will review it. And if
Very true.
if we have someone who's very knowledgeable on it and they want to discuss it, they're more than welcome. We said our one.
Oh, poor
tier.
Gavin. Oh, so instead of Gavin talking about BattleTech, one of our premium Patreon guys, he could talk about Votan and the absolute salt.
Whenever he's free enough, because I know he's a busy man.
Yeah.
Whenever he's free enough, he can decide what he feels like talking about. And if it's both things, that's fine. We got.
I'm gonna force him to chew through Votan just to see him suffer.
Well, what I will say though, by the time we get to them, unless he's like, if he's free and like, whatever, very soon, then we'll do that real soon. But if it takes a little bit to get to it, which you don't know, like, so they, we're recording this on the 5th, July 5th. Earlier today, they came out with some adjustments already.
Thank God.
Now, the things that they adjusted, just to go this very, very briefly, because who knows, in 5 days from now, if you're watching it, then half of this stuff might be outdated. But they changed Strands of Fates for Eldar. They changed a little bit about how, what is it? Not large.
Towering. They increased the points for towering.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah. So they made some light changes like that. A few points changes here and there, like giant towering models all kind of got point changes. But there was a nice breakdown I saw on Reddit that went through every unit that got changed. Some armies didn't get touched at all. Some other spots did. I saw a decent amount being the Forge World models. They were kind of the more common ones to get kind of altered. But there were some changes. So GW is watching. They're listening. They're changing things. We know later on there'll be kind of like the big changes that occur. But for right now, they're at least saying, hey, this is oppressive. Let's remove it. They're not waiting on that, which is good. That's a positive.
It's not even that it's not a game. As I'm not sure if you watch Reddit or you look at like some of the tournament results.
I watched the War Games live. I watched a few of the games at I forget what GT it was, but the last game, the two guys know each other. Like they play against each other, part of the same team. But it was like a turn 2, and the game was
Eldar versus. I saw that one. Yep.
Yeah. It was,
for those who
was the other
don't
player.
look for those who don't look at Reddit or don't watch or don't read like MetaWatch or whatever. I think he recorded, it was 8 or 10 events, and the top 5, I think it was like 80% of them were the top 5 were just Eldari.
Yes.
And it was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
But they changed it, so we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see Gene Stealer Colts got high too on the win rate. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right now, win rate's going to be all over the board. I only put concern into win rate for something that's beating the curve by like 20 points. Because even if you're low on the curve, you could just be a harder army that people haven't really played a lot with yet. Same reason why, like, if Space Marines are low on the wins, I don't know if they are, but let's just say theoretically if they were.
Right now, they're actually right now, I think 50%.
Okay.
Which is...
Yeah. But even if Space Marines, say, for instance, were a bit on the low side, or say Tyranids would be a bit on the low side, well, that's the main starter army and the new army in the box. So it's probably going to potentially skew that way because you have people who is the first time they're sitting down playing games. I'm going to my first tournament. I got a couple things put together. So some of that comes into play as well. It is the one reason I will say, though, through this, we're probably going to wait a little bit before we get to the Eldar because we want to see if they do other changes. We don't want to say something a week later, they alter them greatly. So we'll probably, for order of this, we're probably going to try to hit people in the middle of the road and then start deviating out from there.
Yeah.
But Dan decided Demons tonight. I said since we were deciding last night what to do today, I said, which 40K army do you want to talk about most? Because it's one of the ones he has and maybe he's more comfortable. And that gives us time to do deeper reviews of the other ones. And
honestly, I've been having fun with them. Versus 9th edition, they're actually really stupid levels of fun this edition.
The general consensus is that things are fun now. It doesn't mean you always do well. It doesn't mean you don't necessarily get crushed. But even then, it's still fun.
I've won with the Kaiju list only because it's more of a shock and awe list. Yeah. Like, you can deal with it very easily. But seeing...
Potentially. If you can deal with the Knights, you can deal with that. But not everyone necessarily has planned for that.
but it's very much you split them up. You don't let them like manifest in the middle of the board and stuff like that. But it's funny because they're more like, oh crap, what do I like? It's a very mental defeat list, which is kind of funny, which is how demons should be played though.
All right, so why don't you give us just a brief overview overall? Don't have to go into any particular gods.
Yeah.
Overview of demons.
All right, so I mean, okay, so like fluff-wise, demons are the chaos demons of the warp. These are manifestations of human emotions that basically manifest into actual extreme levels of demons. So you have Slaanesh, which is the demon misnomer, the demon of pleasure. It's not. It's the demon of excess.
Yes.
Right. So it's not excess pleasure. It's not the oh my god, there's an orgy. It's oh my god, I'm ripping the flesh off of someone and having the nerves expanded to the wind, and that's the level of like essentially excess of excess.
Yeah.
You have Nurgle, who is what is that human emotion? I guess like immortal life,
entropy.
But again, it's entropy essentially.
Yes. The fact that everything falls apart
apart.
And over time will degrade and change.
Yep.
But that's also how you get new life. If you think about it, through the decaying of a tree is how you get new life of mushrooms kind of ideas.
But of course, again, this is all warped.
Yes.
So, yeah. You have Khorne, which is strength, obviously, and anger.
Singularity. To me, it's singular.
Ooh.
It's a singular purpose. It is
Ooh,
that
like
idea
that
of precision of thought. That thought in general for Khorne is destruction, mayhem, murder, but it's exactly that.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Tzeentch is knowledge, I would say. Tzeentch would be knowledge. And again, it's the perversion of knowledge. It's not that you're learning this history, you're learning maybe one facet of the history, which is being hidden by something else. It's wheels within wheels, so on and so forth. They're more of the magical, if you want the kind of DLDR. They're more of the magic.
Yeah.
And that's kind of your chaos demons in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Then there's like non-affiliated, which is Be'lakor, but he's later on. He's everything and nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the demons. Right. So I mean, we can start with talking about pretty much their army rule, I guess.
Yep. Now, for anyone watching on YouTube, if you're listening on the normal podcast, you can kind of listen along. If you're watching on YouTube, since these are freely available from GW, that I am going to have that streamed up so you can see it. We don't do that for some of the 30K stuff because they haven't put it out in that way, and I don't want them to cease and desist us, especially as I want to try and reach out and see if they'll start sending us any of this cool stuff that they've been doing so we can review it and work with it. So, all right. So,
actually, I'd say even start with Demonic Pact because it's actually the easiest thing.
Yes. All right.
So yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I'll take Demonic Pact. So Demonic Pact, as it says, if everything in your army has the Chaos keyword, which everything in here would, that's not a problem. You can include, we're talking about more of Chaos Space Marines and those sort of things, I should say, although this will have it as well. You can include Legions Demonica in the army. They tell you the points cost, so essentially for what you would naturally play, it's a quarter. So Strike Force, it means 500 points and so on. They can't be a Warlord, can't take any of the enhancements, none of the bonuses and all. And if you have a Legion-specific god that they follow, they have to take that one. So World Eaters follow for Khorne, so they can only take Khorne units. Thousand Suns can only take Tzeentch units. Death Guard, Nurgle. Because Emperor's Children don't technically have a book, so that's why I say the Warlord is Lucius the Eternal.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
It's only Slaanesh. And that's going to follow if they ever give them a book. If they give Emperor's Children a book, it's going to be Slaanesh. So it's the gods that you think that they're supposed to follow, they follow.
I mean, it makes the most sense. Like, it's very generalistic. It makes the most sense if you know anything about the fluff.
But it is nice that if you have a Chaos Space Marine style army, that you can bring these.
Yeah,
you can
100%.
Take a quarter. You already have it. Hey, there you go.
Spoiler alert, this is also what Knights have, which is really cool.
Yes.
So yeah, that's why I like it. It's very much like if you want to take, what is it, Strike Force, right? Strike Force is 2,000? Or is it on
Strike Force is 2,000, yes.
Yeah, so 500 points is a greater demon, or 2 to 4 smaller squads of demons. So yeah, it gives you some variety. It gives you a lot of variety, actually.
It gives you a nice way if you wanted to start demons to start building them up, because if you already had Chaos Space Marines, you can just use that, get to 500. Oh, okay, now I want to play them separate. Maybe you build up an extra 500 points, and now you can play 1,000-point games as you slowly kind of make your way up.
Yep. And actually, my opinion would even buy the combat patrol. Is that what they're called?
Yes, combat patrols.
Yeah, there's some wonderful combat patrols for demons. They're weirdly, I hope GW's not listening. They're weirdly cost efficient.
Combat patrols tend to be. They're not all the same, but they tend to be pretty cost efficient.
They're one of the better ones to get, which is weird to say because demons usually, well, they used to be a horde army. Now they're really not. But it's they still package them as a horde army, which hey, I ain't gonna complain. So yeah, it's actually kind of cool.
All right, so we had to pause there for a moment. Dan muted himself, which he is now, which that might be intentional. Before he muted himself and didn't realize that. We have points pulled up. That was the only thing I was checking to make sure we have points for when we actually get to these units. All right, since you play demons, why don't you talk about the Shadows of Chaos?
Yes. This is one of the cooler rules. As I smile, so. Essentially, this is for any faction that is Legion. So just to kind of cover all army rules, by the way, because this is going to happen a lot. The army rule only works if your main army is that army. Yeah. So like, for example, this Shadows of Chaos only works if your main army, your main detachment is Legion Demonica, right? Like Knights only get their special rule if you are main detachment Knights. So I just want to point that out. So anyway, so your army faction has to be Legionis oh my God, that's not how you say that word. Legionis Demonica.
Legionis Demonica, there you go.
Jesus. The braces on my teeth. So a couple of things happen here. Sorry about that. Kid is trying not to go to nap or to sleep. So your deployment zone is always within your army Shadows of Chaos. All right. So this just explain what Shadows of Chaos. It's not explaining what it is. It's just telling you where it is. Shadows of Chaos. The explanation actually comes a little bit later. So anyway, so your deployment zone is always your Shadows of Chaos. Congratulations. That never changes. So that deployment zone that you deploy on, always Shadows of Chaos. Right. At the start of any phase, very important. At the start of any phase, if you control at least half of your objective markers within no man's land until the end of that, phase, no man's land is within your army Shadow of Chaos. So you have to control a majority, at least half. Yeah. Although I was asking because at least half is very, like, let's say you have 3 objectives in no man's land. Is it 2?
Yes.
Or is it 1? And it's 2.
At least half means half or more.
Yeah, I know, but people...
No.
I know.
You don't have to worry about, there's this weird person about thing. Don't even discuss it. That's not a thing. At least half means half or more.
Control 2 or more. I think most objectives in No Man's Land are 3.
The game pretty much now, missions that we've seen are all 5 objectives. They might do something different, but so far they're all 5.
And it's usually 3 in No Man's Land.
Yeah, so 3,
control
1 in
2
yours, 1 in your opponent's.
And then at the start of any phase, same exact wording. If you control the objective in your opponent's deployment zone, then that becomes Shadows of Chaos.
Yeah, and so it's at least half. So far, there's only one ever, but we could see missions, or you make your own mission where it happens, of course.
Exactly. So Shadows of Chaos essentially moves up the board the more objectives you control. So then the question is, what the hell are Shadows of Chaos? Well, couple of things happen. First of all, while you have a Legionis Demonica unit in your army that is within Shadows of Chaos, so he's got to be within Shadows of Chaos, and each time a unit takes a battle shock test, you add 1 to the test result. So remember, in this edition, in battle shock, you want to roll above your leadership on 2d6.
Out or above.
Yes, not below this one. It's a very different change from literally every edition, but that +1 does help. And if you pass it and you're still in the Shadows of Chaos, you actually regain D3 wounds or up to D3 destroyed models.
Yeah, the D3 destroyed
models. If
it's
a battle line. If it's a battle line. Yep. Yes. Most of our stuff is battle line, with exception of like the cavalry and the bigger beasts, but it's D3 wounds or D3 destroyed models if it's battle line, which is fantastic. I actually, fun fact, I always forget about the D3 lost wounds. There's a reason why when monsters go to half health, right? They start taking battle shock, right?
Yep.
I always forget that if I pass it, they can regain D3 wounds.
Yeah.
I got to remember that one. But I do remember this one for some odd reason. Demonic Terror. While an enemy unit is within your army Shadow of Chaos, each time that unit takes a battle shock test, subtract 1 from that test. And if it's failed, D3 mortal wounds, which doesn't seem like a lot.
That's a
But
lot.
yeah, it adds up. That -1 will make someone fail, and D3 mortal wounds is a nice extra. Is an extra. Oh, sorry, I muted myself. Is
Yep.
an extra D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah. No,
Sorry,
it's
that's my daughter in the background.
yeah. No, that's huge. Having played a bit now, it can take a bit before you have to start taking Battle Shock. But once you actually start taking it, -1 makes a on the bell curve is actually quite a bit of a difference when you're only
Yeah,
talking about a distinction between 2 to
and
12.
I was gonna say
And
even
D3
most battle
Mortals is
shock,
rough. You don't get saves versus
most
any of that.
battle shock now in this edition is 7
Yeah.
ish, 8 ish, because even
It's all
custodians are
between really 6 to
6.
8.
Yeah, custodians are 6, so even getting a -1 makes that from like a 63% to a 50%. Like that's a big change.
Yeah. Now, a shift of 1 when you tend to be in the 6 to 8 range, which means around the 50 some percent range, about probably
Yeah,
40 to 60%. That is actually a huge difference.
it's a
Like I
big
said,
change.
you get very little against mortals. If you don't have
Yes,
feel no pain, you don't get anything versus it really. So it's
it
that's
does
a
add
little
up.
bit of carrot most people don't get. So
Yeah. Last but not least, another big thing that they changed was last edition demons could like deep strike close enough to your bravery or leadership, stuff like that. It was really cool. What's really cool here is that they kept that warp rift ability, but now they just kind of universalized it. So
mhm.
anytime your Legionis Demonica unit is set up in the battlefield using the deep strike ability, you can actually set it up wholly within your army Shadow Chaos, right? And be 6 inches horizontally away from an enemy, not 9,
Yeah,
which is massive because we'll see in most of these units, if you have a horde in it, which now it's free, congratulations, GW,
yeah,
um, you get +1 to charge in most of these units that want to kind of get in cut. So that's only a 5-inch charge, which is that's very good.
yeah. No. It is. We are looking at removing 3 inches off of the charge distance that you need. So you're going from, you know, technically, I would, and statistically, we wouldn't use the word unlikely, but unlikely because you need over a 7 to get it to needing under 7, so much more likely. So no, it's actually a really huge
Yeah.
difference.
So that's the big thing with Shadows of Chaos and how it plays into the army.
Yeah. All right. So other things that GW did. Everyone gets stratagems. So there's 11 core stratagems, and then every faction gets 6. What's nice is these are color coded depending on essentially when you
Yes.
would be using it.
Oh God, thank God.
Green is your turn. Blue is what? Enemy?
No,
No.
it's a
Red is
specific
enemy.
phase. So green, I think, is in reaction. Blue is your phase. Red is opponent.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is.
No, green is not always reaction.
Oh,
No, because the first one absolutely doesn't fit that.
oh, then
Corrupt real
I
space.
know red's a reaction.
Okay.
Blue, I know is phase.
It's actually in the rules if you look at it. I'll look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so we'll go through these a bit then.
They're very
We'll start
quick.
with the first one here. We'll go through corrupt real space. So this is 1 CP. Most of them are all 1 CP, which is good because in this game you only get 1 per player turn, and you start with none, so it can be very tough to get more. It's in any command phase. So actually, green's probably like strategic. One of your units that's in range of an objective marker you control. So any command phase, use your opponents. When you're in range of an objective marker, you control it. That means they're not there. It's corrupted and maintains under your control, so you make sticky objectives. In
Yep.
addition, while an objective marker is corrupted and under your control, the area of the battlefield within 6 inches of it is in the shadow of chaos.
Which also I keep forgetting
Yeah,
because they sometimes corrupt the middle objective. And I always forget that it's 6 inches Shadows Chaos.
yeah. So sticky objectives is huge because pretty much all the secondary or a lot of a good amount of secondaries, primary missions, all of that. Once you be doing objective based things, you can grab it. That also means you can leave. You don't need to keep people back on your own backfield objective. If you only have one of them, and you know their army doesn't have like a lot of deep strikers where they're come get it, sticky it, walk forward. They got to kill
Yep.
you to get to it.
Absolutely. I've used this to great effect with my kaiju list because my kaiju list is basically all close combat Khorne list, right? Sticky the main home objective and then fly forward.
Yep.
What's interesting that I noticed, by the way, since I play 3 armies and I played against other armies, is not every army has sticky objectives,
No.
which is cool.
Most
But
do not.
Fun fact, I didn't know this. Not all the sticky objectives are exactly the same. So like these guys do it at the start of the command phase. So you have to be on the objective already. Custodes, 1 CP, do it at the movement phase. So you can actually move onto the objective, sticky it, then move away, right? With the remainder of the movement. And then I think Space Marines get it, but only on intercessors, I want to say. Or something to the effect of a unit can sticky it, but only until the following turn. I forgot
Possible,
who the hell
I
it
don't
was.
know.
It was intercessor or something. But the point is, it's really cool that every sticky objective I've seen has been completely different, played completely different. I want to say it's the intercessors.
The
normal ones
I don't remember any of that.
Ones.
But I said it's possible.
It's one of those. It's one of the basic battle line troops you got. And then, since you did Corrupt Real Space, I'll do Drought of Terror.
Yep.
Which I've actually used, weirdly enough. So your shooting phase, the shooting phase or fight phase, I should say, sorry. You select, again, 1 Legionis Demonica unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase, obviously. And until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration characteristic of the weapon equipped by the model by 1. In addition, each time such a weapon targets a unit that is battle shocked, you can reroll the wound rolls. So this is, again, playing off you want to attack battle shock units, especially if they're in the shadows of the warp. You can reroll that wound. But also, I found that improving armor penetration by 1 is weirdly amazing. This edition, a lot of armor pen got cut by a lot. And so, like, you know, my cleave used to be AP3. Now it's AP1. And Space Marines can just armor of contempt it away. And I'm like, oh, no. So making it back to, you know, AP1 or AP2 or stuff, that really does help. It brings up the lethality back to normal. And for 1 CP, hell, if I got 2 or 3 CP left out, sure, I'll toss on a Bloodthirster. Make him attack a little harder. Yeah. Neat.
You're better at making people battle shocked. And honestly, it's the second result about it that really helps a lot because you're rerolling those wounds. So you're probably, in my mind, since you get so little CP this edition, I wouldn't be using it just to do the first one at ever, because there's probably some other stratagem I either want or want to save up for. But if you're battle shocked, yes, that'll help make sure I actually clear you off.
Yep.
All right, we have Warp Surge.
Oh, yes.
So you use this during your charge phase. It's one of your units that's within your army's Shadow of Chaos, so you'd have to make sure you're inside that shadow. And until the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to declare a charge, even if it advanced. So you can advance and charge. You declare it when it's your charge phase, so your opponent may not be sure exactly what you're doing. Or since you don't have to declare it earlier, if you would have multiple targets that could benefit from this one, they're not necessarily sure which one it's going to pick. And then as long as you're in your shadow, yeah. Advance and charge is really good.
Yep.
It's there's nothing wrong with that, especially if some of these more dedicated close combat units don't shoot or don't have worthwhile shooting. So
it also like really helps if you're going second place, because if the opponent moves up to take the no man's land objectives, you're starting your deployment zone, which is the Shadows of Chaos, automatically. So if he moves up to the center of the board, the center of the board is only usually 12 to 18 inches away. You know, you have let's say you don't even have a Bloodthirster, you have just a normal Bloodletter unit. That's 6 inches. You move 6 inches, so now they're 12 inches away. Then you advance, right? That might be an 8-inch charge, 7 if they have a horn. That's not bad at all.
However, keep in mind the way you worded it there. Remember, it has to be in your Shadow of Chaos during your charge phase. So you would have had to have had several of the objectives in the middle already.
Well, no, remember, 1 unit from your army.
Yes.
There has to be unit. Is it fully in the Shadows of Chaos?
No,
Can you have,
they have to be touching. So you could string out certain units.
String out, exactly.
But if it's a big one-piece model, you're not using this early.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, you have to, yeah.
You know, this is especially, if you could sticky in a previous round one of the middle ones and they get anywhere near it, if you have this guy near the objective but not on it, that does mean if you had, say, 2 CP that turn, sticky your objective command phase, walk right to the edge of that 6-inch bubble, and then charge out of there.
Yep.
All right, Denizens of the Warp. Go for
Your
it.
movement, it's done on the movement phase, your movement phase, I should say, sorry. One Legionis Demonic unit that is arriving using the Deep Strike ability. This unit can be set up anywhere in the battlefield that is more than 3 inches horizontally away from all enemy units. But they cannot charge.
Yep, that's the only part there that matters. They cannot charge.
Well, so what's funny is you don't use this on a melee unit.
No,
We'll talk about them a little later. Use this on something like, let's say, Tzeentch Flamers.
Yeah.
Which they don't want to get into combat, but their flamers are super short range, but they're also super good. So all of a sudden they're just like, now I'm 3 inches away. And then maybe you pop the extra AP on them. Yeah. So see, it's got some kind of really cool things with shooting. Yeah, really cool synergies with some of the other, like Khorne would never use this, but maybe Tzeentch would. No, Nurgle.
I see some other uses as well. So especially Nurgle, say, the other use I see for this, depending on where your opponent has positioned themselves, if I can come right outside of 3 inches of your model, there's a chance I can be sitting on the objective or even take it from you. If you didn't position yourself around it, say I put some Plague Bearers down. Okay, I got some good objective control. I'm a little bit harder to shift. And now you have a problem that you might not want to deal with because they're not necessarily going to get in there and like wreck your face. But you have to deal with them because I'm now sitting on an objective or just about on an objective that you normally couldn't. Say it's in your backfield. I didn't
think about playing it that way.
Yeah. I pop down in your backfield. I'm just close enough to be touching your objective. Maybe I don't have it from you yet. But now you have to turn at least one unit around because if you tried to walk away, or even if you tried to sticky and walk, it's mine. So I see it as a denial more than for flamers, yes, but otherwise I see it as a kind of a good denial and a way to, or even like maybe even a screener style unit, depending on where they are.
Yep.
All right, we got 2 more. Oh, sorry, overshot. There we go. The Realm of Chaos. So this is during your opponent's turn. I do know that's what the red means. It's the end of your opponent's turn. You take 2 of your demon units from your army that are within your Shadow Chaos, or 1 other. So 2 in the Shadow or 1 anywhere else. Remove the targets from the battlefield and they go into strategic reserves. They come back using Deep Strike ability in your next movement phase. They cannot be in engagement range, though. So in other words, you can't pull someone out of close combat. Yeah. But pull people out, you can redeploy them essentially momentarily because then it's just about to be your turn.
Yep. And again, what's neat with this is you're not deploying them 9 inches away, at least in the shadows of the chaos. If they're shadows of chaos in the middle of the board, you're putting them 6 inches away.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice. It's a nice way of going, oh, this unit that was holding my back objective like 24 inches away. Hello. Now they're 6 inches away.
Yes. Or I just beat you in a combat. You know, this objective here, I had an extra unit. The objective's already mine. I need this unit to go get somewhere else instead.
Yep. So really neat. Really neat. Yeah. I like the way they play very much like Zerg from StarCraft. Like the creep is slowly creeping across the battlefield, and the more creep you have on the battlefield, the more like you're gonna have like those little turrets and stuff. They play very much like the old Zerg. It's kind of cool.
All right, you got demonic invulnerability.
I've used this to a large extent. So because it's only 1 CP, and God, it's helped. So it's your opponent shooting phase just after an enemy unit has been selected. So you do know, who he's shooting, unless you may not target him first, but maybe you wait until he gets targeted. Anyway, you again choose 1 Legionis Demonic unit in your army that was targeted as 1 or more attacks from the enemy unit's attacks. And essentially, it's very easy until the end of the phase. Each time an invulnerable saving throw is made for the model, reroll saving throws of 1. What you'll notice with this army is that their armor save and their invulnerable save are exactly the same. There's, I think, 1 difference.
So Demon Princes can get a better
2 up, 4 up. They have a 2 up, 4 up. Mm-hmm. But everything else, I think, matches literally the invulnerable save. So rerolling 1 helps, especially if you're 4 up invulnerable. Especially if you're getting shot to pieces, or or hint and wink wink, getting oathed of the moment by Space Marine armies.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So yeah,
like, oh, I'm sorry, you reroll all your hits in your wounds.
Yeah.
If
you know that's the unit they want to target, this is a good way to help save some. If you know if they have 2,000 points worth of stuff to shoot at you, I probably wouldn't bother spending it. But if I'm looking at it and I know they're only going to shoot a couple units at it, and this will make a big difference, yeah, spend it. So, all right. Originally I wrote down for enhancements next, but maybe we should save the enhancements until we've talked about some of the big boys who can take some enhancements.
What's actually they don't really. No, you could talk about the enhancements because, funny enough, they don't really. They just buff certain statistics, and that's about it.
Okay.
And what's really cool is, or really cool or really sad, I'm not sure which. The enhancements
those are very different things.
They're because they're god locked. No other army has this, which I understand why they're god locked. 100% agree. But
no, it's very fitting. Keep in mind that the army is a fluff army. Yes. So their fluff is we are 4 armies.
Oh,
so
exactly.
They're going to fit that exactly.
I'm not salty at all. Like, there are things I'm salty about. This is not one of them. Yeah. It's more of like, I look at like, say, my custodians. I'm like, I can take this, I can take this, I can take this. Customize around that, around this.
But keep in mind, you only have 1 demon army.
Very true. And I was going to say, multiple people play like one of the big tournament armies right now is Hero Demons, which is taking literally the named demons. I think that equals 2,000. But but anyway, doesn't matter. So I'll do it since the first one's Khorne. I'll do it.
Yes, that makes sense.
I'll ignore the fluff. When it's Agrath, the King of Blades, I actually like this relic. I sadly cannot afford it in my army, but basically 1 model only. Obviously, it's Khorne Legis Demonica. You add 1 to the attack and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. But if you're in the Shadows of the Chaos, which hopefully you are, you add 2 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. This actually does matter because some of their strengths are, let me see here, are 16 and 8 or 16 and 8 or 14, 16 and 10, 14 and 8. Plus 2 now makes that 10 sweep into a 12 sweep, meaning you hit toughness 6 on wound toughness 6 on 2s. Or even, who I actually took it onto my like normalist Skulltaker, who's not even a bloodthirster, he's just a normal dude. Well, I say normal. He all of a sudden, he's in Shadows of Chaos. He goes from 6 attacks to 8 attacks, and he goes from strength 6 to strength 8. That's a big shift on the curve.
Skulltaker isn't a named character?
No, he is a named character.
Yeah, you can't take it.
Who would be a good Skulltaker is the Bloodmaster. So you go from 5 to 7 attacks, strength 6 to strength 8. He's got the same weapon, just 1 less attack.
Yeah. For a lot of Space Marines, it means now you'll wound them on 2s because they're on 4s.
Yeah.
And that upgrade currently. So we're going to mention some points. The points are going to change.
Now we can
it would currently be sitting at 20, which is cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap. And if you have 20 points, boom.
Yep. I'm going to talk about the Everstaff because I prefer Tzeentch. So we're going to skip to that one. You have to be a Tzeentch unit, obviously. You add 1 to the strength characteristics of the bear's ranged weapons and increase the range characteristics by those weapons by 3 inches. While the bears within your Shadow Chaos, you add 2 to the strength and 6 inches instead. Very much like we said before, it's going to start adding quite a bit to it. Especially, you said, you talked about you talk about flamers. Obviously, they can't take because you have to be character.
I got you because I have it open.
Yes.
Lord of Change, which is not named, his Rod of Sorcery goes from strength 8 to strength 10. And the Bolt of Change, which is strength 9. Oh, man, that sucks. Toughness 5 is 3s. Goes from strength 9 to strength 11.
Yeah. The bigger thing, not even that. I see it as stuff that's like for vehicles versus, say, vehicle or something heavy that's toughness 10.
Yeah.
And those sort of things. To me, that's sort of the bigger distinction there. Yeah, I started pulling up
I'm surprised it doesn't affect their like psychic abilities, like their psychic shooting. But I guess range weapons is psychic included.
Yes,
so
range weapons is
it
psychic.
Makes sense.
If it says range, that counts.
Exactly. It makes sense. I know why they did it. And while you're looking at that, the Endless Gift, probably the chunkiest. How many points is the Endless Gift? Is it 30? It is 30. Okay. Is
30. Yep.
Yep. 30. Okay, good. Basically, if you give this to a Nurgle model, the bearer has the Feel No Pain 5-up ability. However, if it's in Shadows of Chaos, that dude gets Feel No Pain 4. Ooh. So you're chunky. You're going to give this to your Nurgle dude, not Rodigus, because he's named. One. Sadly, he's an epic hero. Your great unclean one is now toughness 12, 20 wounds with a 4-up Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
Ew.
Well, even with 5-up, let's assume because you're not always going to be in your shadow. Absolutely.
True.
Even a 5-up is huge on someone who has that amount of toughness and that amount of wounds. And keep in mind, the Great Unclean one is handing out Feel No Pain 6-up to the units around
exactly.
it. So you want him there.
Oh, he's so fat.
And
he's so fat.
The other
and
big
chunky.
thing is, one way you normally would get around things is, say, mortal wounds. Feel No Pain you actually get versus mortals.
Yeah.
So you could potentially have this guy have a 4-up versus mortal wounds. So,
yep.
But that's why it's very expensive. It's absolutely worth it. But it is very, very expensive.
Yeah. Shove that dude with a heavy dude.
Soul Stealer, which I believe is like 15 points 15, or so. This is Slaanesh. When they destroy in any model with a melee attack, you roll d6, adding 1 to the result. If you're within your shadow of chaos, on a 4-up, you regain a wound.
Yep. Amazing.
Each time, it just note, and it's not character or anything. It's just purely a model. So if we look at like Keeper Secrets, melee.
It has two profiles. I think it can attack with both because one is extra attacks.
Yes.
I think.
Yes. So it's got 4 on the extra attacks, 3 on the extra attacks, and then it has its normal 6 attacks. So it has quite a few. So you have a decent chance, especially if you're in there, to start getting your wounds back. We're talking about a model sitting on 18 wounds. For a Binvol save, it's 10. So you can actually start healing yourself up quite a bit. To me, these almost feel like auto-include depending on what faction you're running. If you're running someone who can take it. Obviously, there's some smaller versions of people. We looked at the big demons. Yeah. But there is some smaller type demons who can take these as well. But I feel...
And still work.
Yeah, I feel if I was running whichever alignment for this, I would absolutely take one of these.
But the weird part about it, and I'm not sure of the points, I've tried so many ways to reach 2,000 with like non-enhancements. Like the Kaiju list, the only reason I reached 2,000 is because of knights. I had to ally in the night. But like playing normal Khorne army, you always get to like 1980, 1975, I tried to Slaanesh once, I think. It almost begs you, hey, you have 20 points, 30 points, or 15 points left over. Take an enhancement. So yeah.
While there's no war gear costs, that's what's going to happen. You're not going to hit the number. Rarely, unless you're trying, are you going to hit 2,000 on the dot. You're either going to have to remove something, you got bonus points to put them in, or you're going to be under, you have bonus points to put them in. So you can fit it. If you want one of these things, take it. You'll fit them. All right, so we are going to start going through the units. And like I said, for this, we're going to see how far we get. We're going to go through Khorne for sure. And then we're going to see how late it is and how long we've been recording for and see if we get through another god. Ideally, we get through 2. I don't think we're going to get through like all of them. That's not going to be a thing. That's going to take way too long. But again, if you're watching this, we will have this displayed up. And this is the rules as of current. Obviously, at some point, GW might change some of these indexes.
The good news is it's Khorne and then I believe Tzeentch. So it's both of our gods we like first. Which I am okay with.
Yeah.
I'll start with Skarbrand himself.
Yep.
So Skarbrand, little fluff on him. If you don't know, he's kind of really funny. If you notice, Skarbrand has ripped up wings. His wings don't exist because he was tricked by Tzeentch to go against Khorne, and Khorne did not appreciate that. So he got banished and his wings got torn, which you will see in his profile. His movement is not 12, it is 8. He can't fly either. So he's movement 8, toughness 11. Say this is going to be a very normal profile for demons, by the way. So 8, toughness 11, 4 up invulnerable, 20 wounds, 6 up leadership, and OC 5. His abilities are Deep Strike, that's going to be across all demons.
Yeah, we won't mention it from here on out.
Exactly.
They all Deep Strike.
They all Deep Strike. He does have Deadly Demise D6, which is nice. Shadows. All their again. We're not going to
mention the faction.
Perfect. So he's got 2 abilities. The first ability is an aura. Basically, this is the old aura, and I'm kind of mad they changed it. But anyway, so while friendly Khorne Legion Demonica units, except for monsters and vehicles, are within 6 inches, add 1 to the attack characteristics with melee weapons by that model. It used to be, I don't know if Dave knows this, it used to be anyone within 6 inches.
Yep, that was a lot of fun because it was every model. Yep.
Which I did enjoy because it actually was hilarious. Now, what sucked about it was Skarbrand in the last edition, as he got hurt, his attacks went up, but his to hit went down.
Yes.
Right? So it literally was an even curve. He didn't feel like the Skarbrand of getting angry, right? So we'll talk about that, how that changed in a second. Also, while a unit within 6 inches of this model and they want to fall back, take a leadership, and that test has failed. Nope, you don't get to fall back. Sorry. You're too murder lusty. Um, I will say, and this is gonna kind of spoil the Bloodthirster as well. For those who are used to the old wound track, where the Bloodthirster got completely worse, right? They went from a 2-up hit to a 3-up hit to a 4-up hit. Where Skarbrand went from a 2-up hit to a 3-up hit to a 4-up hit, and it felt awful. It didn't feel like Khorne at all. So what? I'm tossing out 4 attacks. I'm still gonna miss with half, right? Now, when he's 1 to 7 wounds, he just adds 2 attacks to his Slaughter and Carnage, which are his melee weapons. That's it.
Yeah, he doesn't
So
lose
he's always
the 2-ups to hit.
nope. So he's always hitting on 2s. He's just angrier, which that's how Skarbrand should play, in my opinion. I know I play this, but that's literally how he should be. So he's got 1 range weapon. This way again, consistent against. It's actually different from the Bloodthirsters, but it's pretty consistent. 2d6 Flamer at strength 5, damage 1. It ignores covers. It's Tauren. It's a Flamer. His melee weapons. Good Lord in heaven, did they get a glow up? So you can strike with 8 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 16, AP -4, damage 6. So he's hitting you with a Night Titan chainsword.
Yes.
Or he can sweep for 16 attacks, 2 up, strength 8, AP -1. And there's the AP -1 that I was talking about, by the way. Damage 2. And that's where, by the way, that one, even though you might not reroll wounds, let's say you're trying to sweep a Space Marine squad, right?
Yeah.
And they have 10 models. They play Armor of Contempt. Now they have a 3-up save, right? You play your ones. Let's say you have 3 CP. You play it. Now he's -2, which becomes -1. Now they're on a 5-up save. Everything they fail, or 4-up save, sorry. Everything they fail is now a dead Marine. So it just helps even the scale. But yeah, that's Skarbrand. He's a beauty. He's also, I think, the cheapest of the named. Hold on. Bellacor's 320. I'll include Bellacore. Bellacor's 325. Shalexi is 400.
You gotta stop doing that. It's such a bad noise.
Oh, really?
For audio purposes, yes, it's really bad.
Rodigus is 285.
So he's the cheapest.
Oh, he is the cheapest. Because the other one is who's your guy called? Kairos Fate Weaver, 280. Oh, no, 285.
Oh, okay. So those are cheaper. Skarbrand's at 365 currently.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, I thought the Knuckle Beam was.
But sub 400 with that sort of profile.
Yeah, it's still good.
He can easily take down vehicles with damage 6 and strength 16. You're wounding a lot of vehicles on 3s. Not all of them, but a lot of them on 3s. And like you said, for that sweep at strength 8, you're still looking at, say, Marine profiles. You're still looking at hitting on 2s and wounding on 2s versus basic Marines.
Yep.
And like you said, you have that ability to get that 1 extra AP. And since they know that, they might not bother spending their 1 for Armor Contempt anyway. If you can put them on the 5s, you now are getting through these squads.
I absolutely have 1-punch Night Titans with Skarbrand.
Oh, yeah.
It is quite hilarious to do.
I mean, if everything goes perfect, he can do 48 points of damage. Now, not everything's always going to go perfect. But the big thing, also thing is that AP -4, that's going to put most people to no save, essentially no save, or if they happen to have an invul save.
Yep.
So, on some of your vehicles, if they don't have that, a lot of vehicles aren't 2-ups. A lot of vehicles are like good toughness, but like 3-ups. So a lot of those vehicles, they're just not getting saves. So this guy can absolutely.
He's literally going to blow right through it. Yep.
Yeah. He does a lot.
Yep.
You have to want to run named characters, but I think he's a good named character if you are.
Yeah, no, he's a great. I am running Khorne, and I take him all the time. I love him.
Yeah. I mean, because you're not restricted from just running mix. So even if you're running mix, if I want something that's going to fight in close combat, I'm going to want something. You got to be able to fight some close combat. I think he's a really good option at that point.
Absolutely. Cost. And you can also remember deep strike him, and if there's Shadow of Chaos in the middle, he's now 6 inches away from someone, looking at them tastefully.
Yeah. Save a CP for your reroll on the charge, just in case you fail. You could still fail, but at least you're not very likely. All right.
Take over the Bloodthirster.
Yep. So that's going to take us to the Bloodthirster. I'm still debating if I'm going to timestamp all of this. Maybe I'll start and I'll see if I get tired of doing it later. All right. So Bloodthirster. So this is the a little bit of a lesser version of him, but faster. So his move 12, 11 toughness, the 4-up and 4-up invul as well. 18 wounds, so 2 less wounds. Leadership 6. It's still sitting on 5 objective control. Has the Deadly Demise D6. All the other pieces are the same. It has its aura that for its Khorne Legions Demonica units that are within 6 inches, they get +1 to the hit. So Skarbrand gives you extra dice. They just give you +1 to hit on those dice.
I'm going to point out something really, really important about this real
Yes.
quick that people don't realize. This does not specifically call out no monsters. It's
No, it does
just
not.
Khorne. So it buffs him as well.
Yes.
Meaning if he's -1 to hit, he's still going to hit you on 2s. And again, spoiling it, he gets -1 to hit when he gets wounded, right? Below a certain route.
Yeah.
That +1 brings him, fun fact, back to 2s. So unless you have somewhere in your list that's -1, he will always hit you on 2s.
Yeah. Rules of the game. A friendly model, you are always friendly to yourself.
Yep.
And this one, as it's currently worded, is just friendly models in 6. He's in 6 of himself, so he gets it. His other ability is Relentless Carnage. At the end of the fight phase, you can select one enemy unit with engagement range and roll 8d6. Every 4 up, they take a mortal. Mortals were the make and break of last edition, and I truly feel they're going to end up being the same thing here. My hope is that they're not all over the place, because that's rough. But this is a good way. Again, 50-50, you're rolling 8 dice. That's about 4 mortals on average. That's good. And it's at the end of the fight phase, so everyone's already swung. If there's only a few models left, you might be able to clean them up, or at least help guarantee if it's one of their heavier units and you've survived to this point, you can help guarantee that you stick around a little bit better, because maybe you'll win out the next combat. Now it goes to, say, their turn, and then you'll be able to swing first if this model was already locked in combat. For ranged weapons, he comes base with the Hellfire Breath.
Yep.
But you can switch out to Blood Flail or Lash.
No, so you always have Hellfire. You can choose Blood Flail or Lash if you have the Axe of Khorne.
Sorry, if you have the Axe.
If you have Great Axe, you don't get Blood Flail or Lash, but you still have Hellfire.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's two-handed axe. So for the Hellfire, the one you always have, all these are 12 inches. It is 1 attack. It's on 2s, strength 16, AP -3, D6 +1. You're hitting with essentially like a last cannon. Yeah. That's really what this is.
It's devastating wounds.
Yeah, which is nice. On strength 16, a little less worried about that with an AP -3, but still nice to have.
If you roll that 6, it's D6 +1 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
It's the, if people don't know what the blood fill is, it's not the stupid whip he has. It's just gigantic hammer on a chain.
Yes.
It's the hammer inside of a space marine.
The Hellfire Breath, the one you always have, it's much like Skarbrand's. It's a North covered torrent, D6 shots, strength 5, -1 AP, and a damage. His Lash of Khorne, more attacks, so you get 6 attacks on 2s at strength 8, no AP, but flat 2 damage. That is actually really good. This edition, AP is a little tougher to come by, so an AP 0 isn't like the sort of downside it used to be, because you don't find tons and tons of AP. So this sort of weapon, if you aren't worried about vehicles as much, this is a good way to help just carve down larger units. Mm-hmm. And then for your melee weapons, if you start with the base axe, so you can take one of those other range weapons, you are striking with 8 or sweeping with 16. You're hitting on 2s either way. You're either strength 14 or 8, AP -4 or 2. If you're sweeping, it's 1 flat damage. Otherwise, it's D6. So again, good profiles to be able to take down vehicles. If you go for the heavier one, so now you got the 2-hander, you're looking at 7 or 14 attacks, still on 2s. Even there, 14 attacks should be on strength 10 or strength 16 if you're going for the strike, -4 or -2 for the AP. If you're sweeping, you're 2 damage base each, or otherwise you're D6 +2, so you're a melt-a-gun. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I mean, if you have them modeled with the other one, that's fine. But for me, I kind of see this guy as just wanting to get into combat. I'd probably take the Greater Axe. The reason being is a sweep profile at 2 flat damage instead of 1 is huge, because Space Marines and a lot of other models are 2 wounds. 16 attacks is nice, but if it's going to take me 2 wounds to get through a Space Marine, I might not actually kill that many. Because, yeah, 16 attacks on 2s, you're going to miss a few. Wounding on 2s, you're going to miss a few. -2 AP, they're going to save a few. I want to know that every swing I do gets through basic infantry.
Yeah. I will say I do own 3 of them, obviously. I have 2 with the Great Axe, but I do have 1 with the Axe and the Lash of Khorne.
Yeah.
Only because I have found the Lash of Khorne used to be 6 inches range, which was Oh, sorry.
That's right.
It was 6-inch range, which was useless completely. I forgot about it, even had it.
Yeah.
Now with 12 inches, what I've done with it, for example, is like, let's say he's up the battlefield, I'll throw 6 attacks at 2 damage each on maybe a squad with a character or someone who's about to get charged, not by him, but by someone else, just to kind of weaken it out. Or I use this, for example, there was a character that was all on his own. He wasn't with a unit, and I just whipped him out of existence because he had like a 5-up save or a 4-up save, and he only had 5 wounds. So I hit with everything. I wounded with everything because he was only toughness 3, and he failed 3 saves.
Yeah.
So or I think he passed on like 1, and then I had to Hellfire Breath. Point is, it is nice to at least have 1 shooting attack as that huge just in case you need it. But on that, the Great Axe of Khorne is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. And this guy's sitting at 300 points. He's about 65 points cheaper than Skarbrand. This guy, if you want to spend the extra 20 points, you could get him to be +1 strength, +1 attacker, maybe +2/+2. You're now getting, especially with that Great Axe, your sweep now is getting into a profile level if you get to that +2, where there's a lot of vehicles maybe now we're even getting on 4s, or some of the big tough models, because there's some giant tough models out there at 10s and 12s. So now your sweep actually becomes viable against very heavy targets, which gives you some options there if that's better. So if you're taking Khorne, I think you go with it for sure. If you're taking some sort of mix, I think you're absolutely going to be looking at Khorne for some of your extra close combat. And a guy that flies and gets to go 12 is definitely a very good option for that. I do like him with that upgrade if I want to essentially a somewhat cheaper Skarbrand who is still going to benefit other Khorne units. You wouldn't take this guy by himself, much like Skarbrand in a mix. You'd want a couple other units. But all right. There we go. That's going to take us then to Skulltaker.
Oh, I'll take this guy. And I've used them, so I put him in a Bloodletter unit. So Skulltaker, 6-inch movement, toughness 4, 4-up, invulnerable, 5 wounds, 7 leadership, OC1. Very general leadership trait. He is a leader, so you can attach him to a unit, specifically Bloodletters, obviously. His 2 abilities are really great. So when this model is leading a unit, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have devastating wounds.
Oh, that's so gross.
Oh my god! And when we talk about Bloodletters, what I did was I pooped them out of. So I had Skarbrand in the middle holding the objective, and then I had like a Bloodletter off to the side. No, he didn't want to get, or a Bloodthirster off to the side. He didn't want him, and I pooped out of the middle because it was mine. Right, Shadows of the Warp. Him and 10 Bloodletters, and they cleaved through a melee unit squad, and it was just like, oh my god. Because also the second ability, which I haven't even mentioned yet, each time this model makes an attack that targets a character unit, remember characters when they join a unit, the character keyword triggers into the unit, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound rolls. So
importantly, his weapon has precision, so you're allowed to do that.
Yeah. And each time this model destroys an enemy character unit, you gain 1 CP. So if that unit has a character in it, well, congratulations. He's rerolling his hits and wounds. And if you kill that character with his weapon, which we'll talk about in a second, you gain a CP. The Slayer Sword is disgusting as well. Yes. It has devastating wounds and precisions. It's 6 attacks, 2 up to hit. Strength 6. So you do need 3s on most things, unless it's Imperial Guard or Eldar. AP -2, 3 damage a pop. So
the real interesting thing is that you can reroll the wound. So since he has devastating wounds, let's say they have like a really good invul save, even at the -2. Oh, I don't know if I'll get through. You can fish for 6s.
So I was mathematically, if you wound on 2s and 3s, you do fish. If you wound on 4s, do not fish. Yeah. Is what I think the mathematical was. 3s like makes it break even, I think. 2s is absolutely you fish, and 4 is no.
Well, so on what I would say, to me, it more depends on the profile of what I'm hitting against. You are at AP -2, but let's say, that maybe they're a Space Marine type thing. They armor can tempt it. You're only really at a -1. There's someone on certain saves. Maybe they got a 3-up save now, or even like a 4-up. Depending on what it is, to get mortals, if they have no protection versus mortals, you maybe even on 4-up, maybe I do. On a 3-up, I absolutely would roll. If I get no 6s, maybe then I don't. But if I get a 6, I'm probably going to fish for another one, because the character is probably 5-6 wounds. That's what a lot of these sort of base characters are. So if I can get 2 and they don't have mortal wound protection, I'm taking out your character. I will double roll. If I'm on 2s re-rolling, I essentially have 6 hits. So my first roll should get me 1 6, and my second roll has very good odds of getting me my second. That could be enough to take down most average characters in the game.
And like I said, when we talk about Bloodletters, you'll see why you take him in the unit. But yeah, he's absolutely disgusting. Yes. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, he is for the characters. The Bloodletters are for everyone else.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, I would absolutely swing him in. How much is he? How expensive is this boy?
I don't know. He's not really that expensive. I think he's only... So. Where is he?
95.
95. That's not bad. Sub 100. That ain't bad for what he does.
Yeah, he has that typical low-level character price because he's a 5 wound on a 4 toughness and all. The big thing is since he can deep strike in with his unit.
Yep.
Otherwise, you could take him out somewhat easier, but... All right.
The shittier version of Skulltaker.
Yep, so Skulltaker was the named one. That means you can't put anything special on him, but here is the unnamed one. This is the Bloodmaster. Base stat-wise, are essentially the same. He's 6 move, 4 toughness. He's got a 5-up save now. He's 4 wounds, so he's 1 less wound. Leadership 7. He counts for 1 spot. He also can lead Bloodletters. He is the Bloodmaster. So while this model's leading a unit, when the unit makes an attack, you add 1 to the wound rolls. So he does help there to wounds. And each time the unit consolidates, it moves 6 inches instead of 3. So you can get a lot further movement on your consolidation. Weapon-wise, he has 1 less attack. He's on 5 attacks. But yeah, hits on a 2 at strength 6, -2 to the AP, and 3 damage. He doesn't get to call out characters, though. Now,
and he doesn't get devastating wounds on his weapon.
No. And he doesn't give out devastating wounds, of course. Now, he obviously is reasonably cheap. Where is he?
85.
85? Thank you.
He's only 10 points less. Which...
So, assuming I have no problem taking people with names, because even the bonus that you have, the +1 attack and +1 strength, it's going to make me more expensive than Skulltaker. I want Skulltaker instead.
Yeah, I want Skulltaker, exactly.
I want to precision out your characters, or if you don't have them, I can devastating wound you.
Yep.
Devastating wounds is huge.
Predict this because I've only seen most of the armies. I haven't seen all of them yet. I've been slowly chopping by.
Me too.
But one of the biggest things I've seen is that almost every single named character in every army is undercosted. Depending on the army. But like for example, I play Custodians. Trajan is woefully undercosted for what he does. That's just going to be a common thing. So like Skulltaker. For a 95, I'd rather just take him.
Yeah. It might be, maybe in a little while we'll figure out it's an unfair comparison to compare the two.
True.
Because they are doing characters as a little bit cheap right now. Now, one, you can only ever take 1. So, like, say you really love the idea of Bloodmasters or that kind of thing. You only get 1 Skulltaker. You can't do more. But it might be something they up later, or they wanted to keep it cheap because they want some more characters with names out there. I'm not sure, but if you're only taking 1, absolutely just take Skulltaker. If you are taking more than 1, I don't mind adding 1 of these guys because that consolidation move is big. Because remember, at the end of something, you're allowed to consolidate. If the enemy is gone, you can consolidate to an objective if you can make it. 3 inches might not make you there normally. 6 might.
Yeah.
And then you could sticky it in, say, the start of their turn. Now they have to come and get it from you. But, all right. So that gives us the Bloodmaster. That takes us to the Skullmaster.
Oh, God, yeah. Another nasty, because Bloodcrushers got a glow up. It's funny because these guys go into units that already had glow ups.
Yes.
And they're already glowed up themselves. So the Skullmaster, who no one took no one even knew this existed last edition.
Yeah,
Poor guy.
105 points, I'll say. Right?
Points. 105. So he's a little bit more expensive than Skulltaker. Movement 10. So he's a lot quicker. Toughness 7.
Was
So
on Juggernaut.
Yeah, he's thick. 4-up save with a 4-up invulnerable save. 6 wounds, 7 leadership, 2 OC. He's a leader. Skullmaster's Fury. When this model lead a unit, each time it ends a charge move, right, until the end of the turn, the Juggernaut bladed horns get the devastating wounds ability.
Yeah.
So this is the extra text.
Unit, so it's any of them.
Yes,
because obviously it goes in Juggernauts.
Only the bladed horns,
yeah.
Which ironically is still not bad. It's less cooler than Skulltaker, but honestly, when you see what Bloodcrushers do, it's an insane amount of mortal wounds compared to when they also charge. He also has devastating charge. Each time a model ends unit ends a charge move, each enemy within engagement range must take a battle shock test, which is nice. Forcing your opponent to do a battle shock test.
And that could be D3 wounds, mortal wounds, depending on if you're in your shadow.
And it's -1. It's nice. Weapon wise, he is 5 attacks, 2s, 6s, -2. This is going to be a very common profile, by the way.
Yeah.
So 5 attacks, 2 + 6 strength, AP -2, 3 damage. No special on that. But the Juggernaut bladed horns are 4 attacks and a 4-up, strength 6, AP -1, 1 damage, but they are lance. So when you charge, you get +1 to wound, essentially.
Yeah. And yeah, that devastating wounds. He has the same base weapon that the Bloodmaster
did. Again, not much to say about him. Not because he's not important, but because he ties very well with Bloodcrushers, which we will talk about later. Yeah. Of course, if you don't like taking named characters, what's weird, he doesn't have a non-named character version, even though he is technically a named character. Is he an epic hero?
No.
Let me see. Oh, that's so weird.
No, he's not. He's not named.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I was trying to say, I don't think he was named, no.
Oh, then you get the really cool dude that I will never buy because it's such a dopey looking model.
Oh, at one point I had some demon stuff. I had this model.
Oh God, it's so dopey. This is like one of the. You know how I am with models. Like I will never buy, for example, the dick bikes from Forge World, the Agamatis, because I hate them. This is one of the few models I'll be like, no.
See, I liked it. I did it just as the cannon though when I had it because I had this for
cannon is different.
I took him separate and I put him on his chair on a separate base because I had it for fantasy, 8th edition fantasy. I had a demon army. All right.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll start going through this guy. So this is the Rendmaster on a Blood Throne. He's 150 points this way. He's move 8. Toughness 9, 4-up, obviously, for his save because he got the same invul. He's 9 wounds, leadership 7. He counts as 3 spots. He is on a Blood Throne, so at the start of the fights phase, select one enemy unit within 18 inches invisible to him. Until the end of that phase, any of your Khorne models, demon models I should say, but Khorne demon models, that make an attack that target that improve their strength, AP, and damage by 1.
Cool.
That's a lot of things. Now, we've seen some decent damage characteristics so far. +1, that's big. The AP might be the biggest because getting that 1 extra, now you're actually cutting through some of those heavier targets. Or the
damage. Or sometimes even the damage. Because I'm going to spoil this one. The attendance Hellblades that you'll see on him are exactly the Hellblades that normal Bloodletters have. And going from 2 damage to 3 damage is, it's spicy meatballs.
Yeah. And that strength, getting extra strength, because there's quite a few things.
And that AP,
keep in mind, Terminators now are toughness 5.
Yep.
You know, if they're Nurgle, that's another story, but most Terminators are toughness 5. So getting Terminators on 3s instead of 4s and getting an extra AP to really cut through that 2-up save is a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Champion Slayer, so each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a character or a monster unit, you can reroll the wound roll. And when they destroy a character or monster unit, when this model, that one in particular, you gain up to D6 lost wounds. Keep in mind, this guy is by himself, so he's not in a unit, so he's got to do some stuff there.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit tougher. Now, he has that same weapon we just heard, that Blade of Blood. The 5 attacks, strength 6, AP -2, 3 damage, all of that. If you choose the enemy unit that you are going at, you can get +1 to your strength, AP, and damage. So you could be AP -3, 4 flat damage. Now you can actually start carving through some things. Although, by himself, if he goes at a full unit, he might not be able to get to that character.
My big problem with him, and this is because I play with Bellacore now, is if you don't have Bellacore stopping someone shooting him outside of 18, he's just going to get shot. Or unless you play him behind buildings, or like, it depends a lot on the terrain as well.
Yeah.
But if he's out in the open, his butt's getting shot because he is a superior support piece for the army.
Yes.
Especially if you're playing Khorne. And if I know what he does and I have line of sight to him, I'm popping him with my last cannon squad as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind your opponent is going to shoot. They're going to shoot your stuff. This guy is a prime target, so you do want to attempt to try and hide him if you can, because he does have that 8 move. He's looking at 18 inches to give the buffs. Even if he's not in combat himself, he could buff it to someone else or someone else's who are about to rush in. The Intense Hellblade, so this is essentially what his Bloodletters have. They're his extra attack suits. 4 attacks, hits on 3s, strength 5, AP -2, 2 damage. As we're going to see, that's essentially the base Bloodletter profile. So potentially getting some extra bonuses on that. I don't necessarily take this guy. I don't take this guy at all for the Champion Slayer. Great if you can get it. I'm not worried about that. I'm taking it so that way the thing I really have to take down, I can focus on that thing with this army.
Yeah.
And if it's mixed, again, it only helping your Khorne units, but your Khorne units are the ones that are going to want to charge anyway. So just play it smart. Again, you're not taking this if you have one other Khorne unit. You're taking this if you have several. Put the Khorne units into one good target, and then he tells them to be better at that target.
Yep. All right, Karanak, the doggy dog, the best doggo.
Yep.
12-inch move, toughness 4, 7+ save, guys. Be careful here. 5 wounds, leadership 7, OC 1. He's got a 4-bit vulnerable. Again, he goes into doggos, the Khorne Hounds. He's a pack leader, meaning you could re-roll advance and charge rolls made for that unit. And remember, there is a stratagem that if you're in the Shadows of the Warp, you can advance and charge, which is very nice. Prey of the Blood God. At the start of the first battle round, select one enemy unit to be the model's prey. Weapons equipped have the lethal hits ability. So for those who don't know lethal hits, on a 6 to hit, it auto wounds. Each time this model's prey is destroyed, select one new enemy unit to be the model's prey. So you keep selecting new units when they kill something. I should point out that this is also the first time we'll see Feel No Pain ability against psychic attacks, because all doggos are armed with the Collar of Khorne, which is just a 3-up Feel No Pain against psychic weapons, or psychic attacks, I should say. His melee is it's 6 attacks, hits on 2, strength 6, AP -1, 2 damage.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that profile. That's a good
it's profile. A normal profile. It's a normal profile. Again, a very interesting hero. Does what he does well. Even better when you stick him in a unit of blood doggos, Khorne doggos.
Yeah, you definitely would. I mean, he's 85 points. He's meant to lead that unit. You do not want this guy separate. You want to get lethal hits onto that squad so you can just get this automatic hits through on people.
And I think they do have a lot of I'm going to skip down.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of attacks.
They get...
I mean, like, still decent strength on some of this, but the less you have to roll, the better.
Exactly.
But, all right.
That's it for the named characters, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you get the armies in general, just demons in general, do have a lot of named characters, but it makes sense. It's 4 different armies, so they have to have quite a few.
Exactly.
But, all right, not too much else for him. So we'll get into their bread and butter unit, Bloodletters. I'm just going to make a quick timestamp. There we go. So for Bloodletters, this is your battle line unit if you're running a Khorne side. Move 6, toughness 4. They have a 7-up save because they are on a 5-up invul. 1 wounded guy, leadership 7. They are objective secure too, like a lot of battle line units have that a little bit extra. They have blood begets blood. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, reroll wound rolls of 1. If the unit is below half strength, instead you just get to reroll the wound. So their wounds are a little bit easier to come by. Things you can give them an icon, which gives the leadership a characteristic of 6-up, which is good. And instrument of chaos, so you can give them +1 to charge. Their profile is what we said before. It's 2 attacks. The other, when we talked about the Rendmaster, it was because he had 2 on there. He's got 2 of them standing in the front. So 2 attacks, weapon skill 3+, strength 5, AP -2, 2 damage.
I think it's Power Sword.
Yes.
It's power. Yes, it's power
Yeah,
sword.
yeah.
All right.
It always was. Whatever the profile
Yeah,
of a power
exactly.
sword was, it essentially was always a power sword. So,
Bread and butter, excellent melee. Now you put Skulltaker in there, who gives them what was it, devastating wounds,
yes.
and they reroll wounds of one. How many wounds of one are you rerolling to get those mortal wounds?
Would you own well this if they're under, you get to reroll all of them.
I know.
And if
Well,
that's the case, if you're rerolling ones, it depends on how many you have, but you'll get a couple. You'll snipe one or so out of that. If you get to reroll all, depending on what I'm going against, I'm just rerolling a whole bunch of stuff. There are 10 models for 160, so 16 points each. The biggest thing is obviously they have to get the combat, but everything in this army has deep strike. You can you can only hold so much back. There's limits to how much you're allowed to hold back. So these guys may not be what you hold back just because you got something bigger and better to hold back. But they're also just a really good deterrent. If they don't rush forward, that's fine. They could stay in the backfield and be a decent deterrent for if your opponent comes down with something, their own deep strikers or infiltrators or whatever they might want to set up near you at any point in the game. It's a good profile, but they're battle line. So,
yeah, and remember, you could also
they're
pick
fine.
them up off the battlefield and re-deep strike them if you want to.
Yes, you do have abilities to be able to do that.
So if they're in the backfield, they're waiting, they're out of line of sight. Let's say you caught the middle very early, they're in the shadows of work. Your turn, you just put them right in the middle of the battlefield, and maybe you have Skulltaker with them, and you just have fun.
Yeah,
They do what they do best. It's a heat-seeking missile, is what they are.
yeah. Well, that one ability where you can drop down within 3 inches, that's another good spot for this because I might be able to be close to their objective, or I put it close to their, say, TAC Marines or whatever sort of squishy squad that doesn't really want to get rolled up in melee. Now they have to shoot them. Now they have to deal with it. Otherwise, they're going to start clearing house a little bit in the back, depending on exactly what they go at. So, I like them overall, although it's, like I said, it's a battle line unit, so nothing too exciting. All right. Let's go to what happens when we put them on a dog.
Yeah, the
Giant
biggest glow up.
dog.
This is the biggest glow up. So, Bloodcrushers, movement 10, toughness 7, massive. 4 up save, also 4 up invulnerable, so who cares? 4 wounds, leadership 7, 2 OC. They have the same profile essentially as a Bloodletter when it comes to attacks. 2 attacks, 3 to hit, strength 5, AP 2 damage. The Juggernaut Horns, 4 attacks, 4 up to hit, strength 6, AP -1 damage.
Yep.
So same as the last guy. I'm not going to go over the war gear because it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Icon is OC, leadership 6. Instrument is +1 to charge. Brass Stampede. This is the biggest change. So last edition, Demons had a 2. Actually, I should have said 2. Now I said it, but whatever. They had a 2 stratagem point thing that was a worse version of this ability. So now it's free. Brass Stampede. Each time this unit ends a charge move, select one enemy with engagement range of this unit and roll 1d6 for each model in the unit. On a 4+, that unit just suffers D3 mortal wounds.
So it could be up to 6 D3 mortal wounds
if you roll
squad
well.
Of 6 and everyone rolls well.
Yep. These are, in my opinion, the absolute biggest glow ups when it comes to Khorne units. I now, in my normal not kaiju stupid beam list, I do take 2 units of, I think 6. Is it 6 or 5?
3 or 6.
Or 6, yeah.
3 is what, 120. Then obviously, for the 6, 240.
240, yeah. So I do take 2 units of 6. Because I own 15, so I can't do 3 units of 6. But then I think it's too much at that point. Too many eggs in one basket, but I absolutely take 2 units of 6 because 1 unit getting in with maybe just say 3 people is still going to wreck house. It's still going to hurt. Just a good melee unit. It's a good line breaker unit. That's what it is.
Yes.
It's a good line breaker unit.
Yeah. It's especially good if you're going at someone who happens to have, say, a really good invul save or something you're really worried about. Because if you can pump through those mortals instead, especially if you have a big unit, you could actually do quite a bit of damage there.
Yeah.
And then the rest of your profile, maybe it mops up or maybe just holds them down and keeps them stuck.
Hell, even charging, let's say, a monster, and you roll well, that can be 4 to 5 D3 mortal wounds on that monster. Oh no, I'm charging. I'm not trying to think of a monster here. That's not like them. Help me, Dave. We're screwed. Charging a tank. How about this? Charging a tank.
Yeah. Charge a dreadnought.
Charges dreadnought. Exactly. There we go.
You know, some of those dreadnoughts actually do have 2-up saves. So, and rarely, none that I'm aware of, there might be one, but rarely do they actually have a way to help against mortals. So if you have 6 of them in there, you could put a decent amount of mortals. If it doesn't actually kill them out, what you have left won't necessarily be the easiest to get through because your strength's not going to be good compared to their toughness, but you got a shot at it then. You know, because you won't need, 10 wounds. You've already got quite a few. You might need 4 or 5, and you can get 4 to 5 on these guys. So, I think when it's all said, when we're done with each faction, we can talk about ideas related to them. But then when we're done with the thing overall, I guess sub-faction versus faction, then we can talk about what does an amalgamated list look like. Because it's a little hard to think about where, when you want the close combat units, you are looking at Khorne options. When you want the shooting units, you're looking at the Tzeentch options. I know Slaanesh has some of those as well, but, this is more of where that's dedicated. So it's all going to look really good for close combat. All this gunless fighting. All right. This is going to take us...
Not all gunless, because now you have the Flesh Hounds. Yeah. These are scary, actually good at shooting.
Oh, they got Burning Roar. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So they have a gun as their mouth. So, Flesh Hounds, looking at points. Where are these guys? There they are. 70 points for 5, or you can take all 10 for 140. Move 10, 4 toughness. They essentially have no save. They're on Invul 5 up. There are 2 wounds each, though. Leadership 7. They grab 1 point on objectives. They have Pouncing Hunters. You can target this unit with the Heroic Intervention stratagem for 0 CP, and even if you've already done it. So remember, that is when you're close enough to another unit, and then you get a charge.
6 inches.
Yeah.
I still am shocked at that one.
Yeah.
That Heroic Intervention is 6
Yeah, it used to be 3
inches, which is... I still can't wrap my head around it. I still forget about that.
Yeah. I remember that it is then a charge roll, so they have to be close enough and be able to charge them and all that, but then they get a charge. They have that collar for 3-up Feel No Pain versus psychic attacks. For their ranged weapons, their Burning Roar. It's a flamer, so ignores coverage torrent. Range 12, D6 attack, strength 4, 1 damage. When you have 10 of them, so I used a unit of the new Flamer Marines. Infernus? I think it's like
I don't remember their names.
Yeah, I believe
with the really cool flamers, though.
Yes. Theirs, I think, are like strength 5. There's are same idea, but strength 5, AP 1. But realize when you have a squad of 10, that's really big, especially now that Overwatch can be done when your enemy moves. Mm-hmm. So you start moving towards these guys. I don't need to worry about 6s to hit. I'm Torrent. I just auto hit. Oh, you're going to charge in. These guys are a great option to be your Overwatch, especially if you're running Tzeentch because you don't really have Overwatch otherwise. You're not really shooting much. A torrent weapon means I can actually put a bunch down. Yeah, it's on 4s. Maybe I need 4s or 5s to actually get through, but this is your good option for that. If you get to melee, they have Gore-Drenched Fangs, 3 attacks each. They're hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage. These guys are not going to break the bank in terms of what they do, nor in terms of point cost. 10 of them for 140, essentially 14 points a guy, means you can take these, you can take Karanak with it, get a nice little bonus. You're still not really spending that much. They have some good move. These are especially good units to tie people up with. Like I said, you have...
And they're 2 wounds a pop, yeah. That 2 wounds a pop is actually kind of nice.
Yeah, move 12 at 2 wounds a pop means if they're a unit that you're more worried about shooting you than you are about fighting you, if you can actually get to them, hit them, tie them down. If you're into some sort of Primaire squad, say a normal Intercessor squad, or even one of these more dedicated shooting units, as long as you get a few of them in there, you could easily stick. So, and like I said, your ranged weapon means that now you have something to hit enemies with depending on what they're doing.
I just realized what I wanted to say like 20 minutes ago.
Okay, go for it now.
So remember how you were mentioning you can't charge out of your deployment zone because the Shadows of Warp and they advance and move.
Yes.
They advance and charge.
Mm-hmm.
Remember though, it's at any phase is Shadows of the Warp.
I agree.
Yeah.
No,
So
I
let's
didn't
say
disagree
like,
with that.
oh,
But
okay.
you
Because
have to.
that's I was
But it's
remembering
during
like
your
I
charge
thought
phase is
I
when
was
you
yeah.
look.
I
No,
thought I was doing it wrong. I thought I cheated
no.
Josh during the Knights game, and I realized no, I did it because I moved onto two objectives in my movement phase. Now No Man's Land is mine in the movement phase in the charge phase. That's why I was so hung up of it, and I was like, wait,
Yeah.
did I cheat him? And then I realized no, I did it. I played it
No,
quickly. All right,
no.
no.
So I agree, it works that way, and that's absolutely the way it does work. What I was more of commenting on was you were saying, hey, like turn one, I could do this. Like turn one, you probably won't because you're probably not going to Shadows of Warp No Man's Land, most likely, because of objective placement. You probably can't grab enough. You need to grab 2 out of the 3. But yes, it does actually work. If you could grab it, or if it's say turn 2 and you put a Deep Striker down on it, now it's yours. You have it in plenty of time. Go rush at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was more of a bit of a timing issue. Although if you're taking things like Flesh Hounds and letting them run, then you realistically could actually grab up the middle.
Exactly.
All right, you get a cannon, sir.
Oh, the Skullcannon, how you changed, but I still like it. So Skullcannon, movement 8, toughness 9, 4 up, invulnerable. Save doesn't matter. Until we get to Demon Princess, save doesn't matter.
Yeah,
9 wounds, leadership 7, OC 3. Odd, weird one with that one.
it's big. That's why it's
Yeah.
3. It's big.
Skull of the Fallen in your shooting phase. After this model has shot, select one enemy unit that was hit, and then that unit takes a battle shock test. So it wasn't you don't even have to wound the unit as long as you just got plinked by the skull cannon. You take a battle shock. The ranged weapon is very different now. It used to be anti-tank. It still can be anti-tank, but I see it now more as like anti-mech. It's 48 inches, D6 plus 2, 3 up to hit, strength 9, AP 1, 2 damage. It's
Blast.
blast, yes. So it's I think it's definitely now become more anti-space marine or even like anti-big boy squad.
Yeah.
It's no longer anti-tank,
It's
essentially.
not anti-tank because strength 9, most vehicles are 10 or better.
Yep.
You're looking at 5s.
If you do somehow get to melee, you do have 2 bloodletters on top, so those are your hellblades, which you talked about before. And then it does have a bite attack, which is 2 attacks, 4 up to hit, strength 6, 2 damage, no AP. It bites you.
It's a 115 current.
There was a list that took like 2 or 3 of these, I want to say. And they didn't do too bad. They placed like 5th.
I overall, I will say I like it for a few reasons. Compared to the things we've looked at so far. Now, again, if you're talking about a giant heavy demon, that's another story entirely. So not talking about monsters. It's a toughness 9, so it's a lightish vehicle in itself. It has a good ranged weapon that you can start putting damage onto the people that you're worried about, say the units that are going to shoot you, that maybe you're nowhere near because you can't engineer enough charges, or your opponent was smart and put, what's the Marine Boogeyman right now? Shooting unit?
I always forget the stupid. It's the exterminators? No. Eradicators? No. Damn it. The stupid missile launcher guys.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's gonna drive me up the wall.
Look it up real fast while I'm
yeah, give me a
second. So if you think about that unit, let's say your opponent is smart. Your opponent knows that you want to charge it with Skulltaker and take them down. So your opponent's going to put a unit in front, and they'll space them in such a way that he essentially can't charge because he's not going to fit. Right? There's ways you can deny even with something that say flies. This is a unit then that can be threatening those sort of units. That could be threatening the backfield shooting units, the screened units, the units that you either don't want to engage because of what their Overwatch could do, or the units that you're just not going to be able to engage for quite a long time. It's well known this is going to be a shooting edition, at least the way it looks now. It absolutely is a shooting edition. It is a Mortal Wound style edition. We'll see what happens in the future. We'll see if that changes. But just pure close combat is going to struggle greatly in many ways. Now, Khorne is a great close combat army. But there's armies that can move away. There's a lot of tricks that some people have. So having some of that decent strength shooting, maybe I'm not taking down the heavy vehicles, but I can aim for anything lighter than that and really put some hurt on them. Especially with Blast, if it's a nice 10-man unit, I'm getting some additional hits automatically. You can really make this work for you.
Son of a gun. It's in the starter set, isn't it? But it's not Leviathan.
No, it's not Leviathan because I own Leviathan. I would
What
own
was the
those models if that was the
starter?
case. You couldn't
Yeah,
find it fast enough?
no, because it's not in an individual box. They're not sold in
Yeah, but
individual boxes.
it's
They
in
were
an index.
sold.
I look at indexes and I look for a picture. That's how I find everything now.
Oh, that should
I
have done that.
I am new to doing Space Marine stuff, so I don't know the names of half of these weird Space Marines that they have anymore. So I usually just scroll through this way and try to find them. I'm not seeing it right now. Do you have any thoughts on the Skullcannon while I look?
No, it's just good. It's a great shooting unit. It just changed its purpose. It went from anti-tank to taking out backfield. Remember, you could always give it an additional AP too if you want. So that's nice. Make it AP -2. Hell, you can make it. I think, can the stupid Blood Throne buff the damn thing? Does it have to be infantry? Hold on. Where's that
Hey, look at
stupid?
the Blood Throne. Well, look up
The
this.
Rendmaster. Oh, there's the Rendmaster. It's just a Khorne Legio's Demonica unit. Interesting. So you can actually buff its strength, armor, pen, and damage characteristic by 1, and then you can pay 1 CP to make it basically now strength 10, AP -3 for 3 damage. Okay, that's respectable.
Desolation Squad.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a Desolation Squad. So here's someone who can, say, take those on. Because their weapons are just as long, so you'll be in a good range. They're 2 wounds a guy, 3 up saves. You can really start plinking them down.
Yep.
So, I think an all-combat army is going to need some form of shooting support, I really feel, in this edition. We'll see exactly what happens, but I truly feel that. And then, is the Blood Altar the last thing?
Oh, God, yeah. The please don't take.
How much is it, and is it as bad as the Convergence of Dominion? Which is...
I don't even know what the hell the Convergence
So the Convergence of Dominion is the Necron one. And the problem isn't what it does. The problem is that's like 285 points.
Oh my God. No, this is 105.
Okay, that's not terrible.
So it is toughness 12, 3 up save, 10 wounds, leadership 7, OC 0. So basically it is, I think, 2 abilities. First of all, it has Shadows of Khorne aura, so the area of the battlefield within 6 inches of this fortification is complete. It's going to be Shadows of Chaos. Mm-hmm. In addition, if you're within 6 inches, you reroll battle shock tests for the unit. If you're a Khorne, essentially, so you can reroll your battle shock just in case. Other than that, it provides cover and it's a fortification.
Yeah, they all do that. They'll have the weird. They provide cover.
Oh, so for 105 points. It's a terrain piece to provide Shadow of Chaos. No.
Correct me if I'm wrong, or we'll have to pause this to look it up. Fortifications have to be deployed in your deployment zone?
No. Does it? Oh, God, that would make this even more useless.
All right.
Oh, my God.
We're going to take a quick moment. We'll be right back. All right, so we took a brief pause there. We were looking through to see where you can put a fortification. And through the best we can tell, we looked through both the essentially Leviathan match play they have right now, the main rules, individual rules for the units. We can't see anything that tells you how you have to deploy these. I thought it was like in at least your table half or all. Maybe that's still to come, but currently I'm not finding anything. So there's probably some sort of rule of how you put these down.
I wonder if you just place them anywhere except in your enemy's deployment zone.
But there's not even a rule that says you can't do that. I guess you couldn't do it because you're not allowed to place in the enemy's deployment zone.
But you can play it.
So I guess
so
you
if
can
you could listen,
else.
If you could, let's say we work off the assumption we could place this in no man's land, because placing in your own deployment zone makes this completely useless. Like literally.
Wait, core ability infiltrators. There you go.
Oh my God, Jesus! It was in front of us the whole time.
Yeah.
Someone is screaming. Oh, they didn't see the long pause we had.
No.
For them, it was like a second. For us, it was like 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Do they all say that though? This one does.
Does yours say infiltrator?
Let's check. No. Deployment. No. So this one has infiltrators on it. They don't all. So this one outside of 9 inches of an enemy unit or enemy deployment zone, or I should say, really.
Yeah. So there we go. Okay. Still not worth under 5 points.
It's rough, but it's still pretty good though, because you could put this somewhat near one of those objectives, or somewhere there. You now have you have your shadow zone that you can do all of your good stuff out of if you wanted to do your crazy turn one stuff, this is how you do it.
Mm.
Because now you could leapfrog to one, or even say turn 2, you could pop down next to it. You can now be within 6 inches of an enemy. You can start getting into them a lot faster.
Okay.
I would take yours for 105 a lot more than I would take mine
Yeah,
for
it's more
2 something.
worth it.
Yeah, it's not bad overall, but if you have it, you'll know you want to run it. I wouldn't go out and buy it, but if you already have it, there is some fun shenanigans you can do. All right, that gives us Khorne, I believe. Yep, because then we start getting to Tzeentch. So,
I say let's do it. We got enough
yeah,
time.
yeah, we do. Do we want to do some thoughts about Khorne before we move on, though?
Yeah, I could, since I play the army, I'll give my
Yes.
general thoughts. Khorne, I like. I don't even take shooting with Khorne, and they're still very viable. They're very, very much an aggressive list. You cannot be like, oh, I'm gonna slightly, oh, they killed a unit, blah blah. No. This is very much a you advance turn one, try to get as many objectives on turn one, and if your big boys advanced far enough, try to charge on turn one. If you owned enough, if you converted it into the Shadows of the Warp. This is very much throw caution into the wind. Everything needs to be in melee all the time. And it's a very shock army. That's the big thing I found with this. Now, obviously, the shock is going to wear off when more and more people play 10th edition. But plopping down, let's say I don't play my kaiju list, I play my normal list. All of a sudden, seeing 12 Bloodcrushers marching up the battlefield and then having one of them charge on turn one, let's say, that's demoralizing to an effect. And when people are demoralized, they tend to make bad decisions. So it's a very much shock and awe army. Really can't play defensively with this. It's very much push forward.
Yeah, you don't have enough survivability. I mean,
No.
you have your big monsters who have a form of survivability, but since they don't really shoot, they're not earned. I know they have some guns, but they're not really shooting, so they're not earning you unless they get in the combat.
Yep.
A lot of your other units, a lot of the other ones are reasonably low toughnesses. Or, I mean, yeah, okay, Bloodcrushers have a good one, but your opponent is going to have good weapons that will still treat that like essentially wounding out on 3s and all of that. So you're not going to be able to attrition them very well. So you're going to have to actually take it to your opponent.
Yep.
You don't have a lot of things with like objective control based rules. So like, yeah, your Bloodletters are objective control too, but you don't have any units that are like, oh, while I'm here, I lower yours or I up mine or anything. You're taking objectives because your opponent has been removed from them.
Yeah, they're dead.
Not because you're outscoring them in that way. So, all right. So that gives us a few bits about them. So we'll get at least, well, we'll be able to fit one more in. We won't be able to get any further than that, but that's okay.
And it's your favorite army too. So like,
yes. That makes sense. Yeah. Sure. Let's get a little bit something. And then
we start with a named character too, a good named character.
Yes.
So yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
And keep in mind that their enhancement was related to essentially shooting.
Yeah, their ranged weapons get +2 attacks, or +1 or +2.
Yep.
Attacks and strength.
Yep. So we start with Kairos Fate Weaver. He is their big named guy. He was what, 285? Did you say?
Yeah, he was 285. Very cheap for what he does. Because I played against him. I didn't realize it was that cheap.
When are you playing all these games?
TTS.
Oh.
No, TTS. I was right. Yep,
when
TTS.
TTS? And why aren't you
I'm on the
recording?
Discord. I'm on the Discord.
Then why aren't you recording?
Only because my computer tends to what's the word called? I know there's a technical term for it. It rips the video. It just have a camera.
Why, screen tearing?
No. So it's screen tearing. Yeah, it tears my screen, and I've been trying to fix it for a while.
Yeah, fix that because we could be throwing up all kinds of stuff.
Exactly. I have no idea why it does it. I've been trying to fix it though for like the past week, or actually, I should say I was fixing it 3 weeks ago, and then the personal stuff happened, and then I dropped off. That's why, because it happened 3 weeks ago. I wanted to record. I was funny enough. The joke was it was demon versus demon, right?
Yeah.
And he was bringing demon kaiju Tzeentch, and I was bringing demon kaiju Khorne. It was stupid, memey, and hilarious, but I wanted to record and I couldn't. But also, I didn't realize it was as cheap because when I look at I like to look at tournament medalists. people were taking the all named character list: Kairos, Skarbrand, Rodigus, and Shalexi. And I'm like, God, man, these guys are like 360 to 400 points each. How the hell are they fitting in? And I'm like, oh God, this guy's 285.
Yeah.
Rodigus is 285. So I'm like, oh, this makes, now I understand how they're fitting them in and also taking flavors. Anyway, my short rant is over.
All right, I'll help you figure out your computer stuff,
Yeah.
or I can even help you record some of the things, or we'll play games because I'll record it on my side.
Right.
So, all right. So now we'll get back to Fate Weaver himself for his 285 points. He's move 12 because he flies. He is toughness 10. He has a 6-up, but obviously the 4-up invul. He's 20 wounds at 6-up leadership, and he counts as 5 for objectives. He does deadly demise d6. He has, so Kairos' whole thing is he was essentially cursed by Tzeentch. His one head sees the future, the other head sees the past, so he can never actually accurately tell what's happening now. So he can predict the future, but he always
did not know that.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah,
I love the lore on. It's almost like it's a question. Has every named greater demon done something really stupid towards their god?
Probably.
I should read Slaanesh and Nurgle. I now want to read Slaanesh and Nurgle. You keep talking. I'm just going to kind of scroll down just to Rodigus.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, that he knows what has happened. He knows what will happen, but he doesn't know what's happening right now. That's essentially how he loses in terms of the lore. He doesn't always win because he doesn't actually comprehend what's occurring currently. He can't foretell that.
That's hilarious.
So for the head that looks forward, it has an aura. Each time you target a friendly Tzeentch demon unit within 6 inches of this model with a stratagem, roll d6. If it's greater than the current battle round number, you gain a CP.
Ooh.
So that means early on, you are not going to be, you could roll unlucky, but very early on, say like turn 1 or turn 2, spend CPs because you're just going to get them right back. Especially turn 1, when you start with 1 CP, that means a 1 in 6, you don't get it back, but otherwise you're a little more willing to actually spend them because there's a very good chance you get another one. So you could actually start spending them in your first turn. One head that looks back. So once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, you can use this ability. If it does until the end of the battle from then on out, each time your opponent uses that particular stratagem, you increase its cost to your opponent by CP.
Good. So good.
Yeah.
So damn good. And here's the fun fact. Because of how so I'll speak Custodian's point of view because I know there are other armies, but so Custodians have like shield captains that, because I know other Space Marines can do this too. They reduce the stratagem cost to 0, right? Yeah. Because of the developer's commentary, I still have to now pay 1 CP because the addition happens after the removal of CP.
Stop hitting your table.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you could pick that up.
Absolutely.
It happens after removal of CP. So now, let's say I make something that I want to make, damage minus 1, 0 CP. No. I still got to pay 1 CP.
Yeah.
Or if I just want to use fight first, that's normally 2 CP. Now it's either 1 CP or 3, which is, whoa.
Yeah. I see this best as, now this does, what's nice is this is an edition, at least currently, where the stratagem list is pretty small. In the previous edition, this would be awful because I would have to know 30 stratagems of every army to know what I really want to target. You only have 6 unique stratagems. The 11 that everyone has, I should hopefully be aware of those. You have 6 unique. And specifically, what I would ask if I'm playing is, what characters do you have that make certain stratagems 0? And what stratagem, and what can they make 0? Is it anything or is it certain things? Because that's what I want to target. I don't want you to get freebies. Because your freebies are the ones you're going to use the most. So if I can make them cost 1 or potentially 2 the first time in subsequent uses when it's not being free or anything like that, you have so few CP in general in this edition. If I can increase by 1, you are losing, several less stratagems in a game. That's a good way to get up on someone. You get -1 to hit if you got 1 to 7 wounds left. He degrades. So, for his ranged, he has his psychic power. It's blast, it's indirect, and there's a hazardous form if you want. Either way, it's 24 inches. The normal one is d6 plus 3. If you go hazardous, you get d6 plus 6, so you get 3 extra auto hits.
D3 plus 6.
Oh, sorry. Oh, my apologies. I noticed that. So it's d6 plus 3 or d3 plus 6. So 9 is the max, but it's more reliable. Thank you. Hits on 2s either way. Strength 9 either way. It's either AP2 or hazardous AP3 and D3 damage either way. I can see off of that why he's a little bit cheaper. That is good, but when you have random damage on a D3, there's a chance it really doesn't do anything to some people.
No, but D3 plus 6 at strength 9, AP minus 3.
But D3 damage, you gotta keep in mind the
True,
damage.
true, true.
Maybe I wound you, but if you
And that's
have,
right.
if you're a
Space Marines are 2
Terminator
wounds.
with, yeah.
Or 4 wounds, yeah. Terminator with 4 wounds.
Oh, Terminators have 3. Average Terminators 3.
Shield. I've only played against Shield ones.
Well, let's just
That's why.
3.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
means 3, 2/3 of the time, I need 2 of these to get through to kill 1 Terminator. So it's good, but you have a chance. It makes sense. It's Tzeentch, so it's random, but you have a chance of like rolling really bad and not really doing too much there. His melee weapon, it is psychic as well. His Staff of Tomorrow. He gets 5 attacks. He hits on 3, strength 8, AP minus 2, 2d3 damage on that. So even in close combat, his weapon is actually still pretty good. You might hit on 3, strength 8. Again, you're not going against heavy targets with this guy, but 2d3, now you're reliably taking down things that you hit with it.
Yeah.
So, overall, I like him. I'm not too huge on it. I guess
he's also a big stat block. I mean, what?
Yes.
20 wounds, 4 up, invulnerable.
With a toughness 10,
10, but he's a wound block as well.
I think part of his thing, his attacks can be very good or a little lackluster, depends on the bit of rolls. Your head that looks forward. I think it's more of the head that looks forward and the one that looks back is really what's getting this guy to his points cost and really what you're wanting him for. You get potentially a good amount of extra CP early. You still have a chance later.
It's a good support. Early. I see him as a good ranged support unit.
Yes, he's absolutely support.
Yeah.
He blinks at the models ranged. That you are either worried about or lower wound things, or maybe if you got something that's a toughness 7, toughness 8, because then your D3s on that sort of thing won't matter because it's one model that you're hitting into. But I think it's his 2 abilities. His abilities are huge. The head that looks back, that's worth a lot to me, because when you play an army, you know the stratagem they're going to want. Especially as you play this game more, you're going to know the stratagem that is the real one that makes them sing. And now they're not going to be able to afford it a lot more often.
I will point out, adding -1 rend to him too also makes him kind of scary in the shooting. Is it only melee for -1 rend, or is it just
for what?
The stratagem -1 rend. Or -1 rend. She's +1 AP or -1 AP. Add an additional AP.
What stratagem is that? That's a Space Marine stratagem. Armor.
No, Drought of Terror. No. You add an additional armor pen to your stuff.
I don't know that one.
Shooting phase or fight phase. So yeah, for 1 CP, now he's AP 3, AP 4. That's pretty good. That's scary as hell, especially if that unit doesn't have an invulnerable save.
Yeah. I just always have a problem when it's D3 damage. I've had plenty of cases where I roll a bunch of ones and you'll get through. But you'll also have chances where you roll a lot of 3s and carve out a lot. But I think it's his abilities is really why you want to look at it.
Yeah.
That's what you're taking him for. The other thing, it's nice to have some shots.
Speaking of abilities, Lord of Change, the single head model, if you will.
Yes.
So I think he's statistically the same, except he's lesser wounds. Is he the same leadership? Yep. Same OC, same save. Yep. Just 18 wounds instead of 20. So again, there's going to be very similar between the named Greater Demons and the normal Greater Demons.
There's more wounds. 230. So he's 55 points cheaper.
All right. So let's see why he's 230. Demon Lord of Tzeentch, so it's an aura. So within 6 inches, add 1 to the strength characteristic of the attack if it's a ranged attack. Okay. Sorry, I'm hiccuping. You know what? Dave, do me a favor. Scroll down to the Flamers, see what their strength is, like the good Flamers, not the hero Flamer, but the normal unit of Flamers. Just want to check something.
All right.
I'm scrolling. Master of Magics. While you're doing that, this is a psychic in your shooting phase. So, oh God, in your shooting phase, select one of the following abilities: ignore cover. Who cares? Lethal hits or sustained hits. D3.
I like the lethal hits more.
I like sustained hits. Let's see how many attacks he gets.
So Flamers are D6.
Yeah. D6 strength?
No, D6 attack, strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage.
So they become strength 4 to strength 5. Okay, whatever, who cares? If they were strength 5, I'd be much more happier. Strength 4 to strength 5.
Oh, yeah, because they auto hit, so that part won't really help.
Exactly. All right. Let's look at his range weapons. Can he shoot both?
No,
He's
you
a monster.
choose.
Does it have that stupid little symbol? Oh, it does.
That's why
No,
there's
no,
an
no.
arrow.
No, no. I mean,
Oh,
can
the
you do the
Rod
Rod
of
of
Sorcery in
Sorcery
that? Yes.
and the Bolt of Change?
Yes, he may shoot both.
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
You may always shoot all ranged weapons unless
as
they
long as
say
it doesn't have
otherwise.
the exactly. So Rod of Sorcery, 12-inch range, 6 attacks, hit on 2, strength 8, AP 1, D3 damage. Okay. So you have to be within 12 though. And then Bolt of Change, it has a hazardous and a not hazardous. The only difference is the AP and the damage increases. They're both 18, both strength 9, both hit on 2s, both are strength 9. It goes from AP 1 to AP 2 and from 1 damage to D3.
Hazardous all day, every day.
Yeah. Also, with 9 attacks, and is it all ranged or is it just? Yeah, it's all of them. With 6 attacks and 9 attacks, possibility of getting 3 6s, which is an extra D3 each. So that's an extra 2. That's versus lethal hits. I don't know. I would take the sustained hits.
It depends on your target. This is one
True.
where if I'm wounding on 3s or better, I am taking sustained hits every day.
Yeah.
If I'm going to fight your big heavy tank, then I'm taking lethal
hits
to
hits,
get some
exactly.
of those extras. But this guy, I mean, what's funny, and actually go through his melee and then I'll mention my own.
Yeah, let's go to the melee. So he's got 2 attacks. So he's got an extra attack, Baleful Sword. For 3 attacks, that's strength 3, strength 7, AP 2, 3 damage. Okay, respectable.
That's very good.
And the staff of
everything's not
Tzeentch.
Tzeentch.
Yeah.
So everything's not Khorne. So don't expect the Khorne numbers.
No, but that's still respectable.
No, that's very good.
Yeah. For a bird. 5 attacks from the staff of Tzeentch at 3 up to hit, strength 6, AP 1, 3 damage. Why is this? Oh, I guess because it's wood. It's like a staff. The staff is huge. I was looking at the model before. The staff is like the size of the goddamn bird. The sword is like like a dagger.
Hey, swords are easier to cut people with. Can't cut someone
It's the lesser
with
strength. So it's not the AP or the damage, it's the lesser strength. I would have thought this bonking someone in the head. Now I got to check the stupid model. Is the sword big? Yeah.
Go ahead.
You talk about it. Yeah. Yep. Now I'm like mad. Hold on. Is it like a dagger or is it a legit sword?
So Kairos is more. Kairos had a lot of utility. Don't get me wrong. His shooting attack. It's not that it's bad. It's random. He kind of has the one, so you kind of have to see how you do. This one has better shooting, better melee in general. Your abilities you have are very good, but you're not playing the CP game.
Oh.
And I think this edition, that CP game is going to be clutch. I would absolutely take Kairos and one of these.
Dave, the goddamn staff reaches the top of his goddamn wings.
All right.
The sword is maybe a quarter of his body.
You know, birds have hollow bones, so that way they're light enough to be able to fly. So he doesn't have that same sort of strength because you can't have a giant, strong muscle on a hollow bone and just crack it in half. True. I'm calling physics on this one.
I don't know, man. That staff, it drops on a Marine. It's going to be more strength than stabbing with that stupid little dagger.
He's doing his best.
He's doing his best. He's doing the best he can. It's funny.
I think he's really, really good. So if you're running Tzeentch, obviously you're going to want to run with these guys. If you're running a combined, I'd probably still like Kairos.
+1 to ranged attack. I want to see if I'm trying to think. Slaanesh doesn't really ever. I want to see what he does to like Nurgle and Slaanesh because is it? Oh no, it's only Tzeentch anyway. So I got to see what shooting we got because I'll keep that in the back of my mind when we talk about it because that +1 strength might come in handy, or it might just be absolute garbage.
Yeah, but even if he's not helping too much else with that, I like him for what he can personally do. Because I think he can fit a very good niche that some of these armies.
I think the next one you're going to like the most, though. I played against this ass. This is the guy I shot to pieces.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no,
I know. Oh, this asshole.
Changeling has
God, I hate this thing.
Some annoyances.
Oh, my God. He was so annoying.
Yeah. No, I think Josh was playing the Changeling the other day. Okay, Changeling. I closed, so I don't have his points open in front of me unless you can.
I got you. What Changeling? Changeling, sir, that's a Changecaster. Where the hell's the Changeling?
Is he under the?
Oh my God! Don't do 75. This to me. Oh, you GW, you suck.
Yeah, the Changeling.
Like 2nd grade, you don't count the. Oh
No,
my god.
it's a hubris thing. I'm not a changeling. I'm the changeling. It's like
Yeah. Oh,
if you ever
get out of
watch
here with your nonsense.
Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
I'm not Fat Panda. I'm the Fat
The
Panda.
fat
And then
panda. Oh my god.
he beats a leopard up or
You
some
said
shit.
it and my heart dropped. I was like, oh, please don't let it be under the.
Yeah, no, it was.
Oh god, it
Okay, the
hurts.
changeling. He's move 6, toughness 3. The toughness is going to be terrible. That's fine. 7 plus save, but he's got the 4 up invul. He's 5 wounds, leadership 7 plus. He counts for 1 objective point. He has deep strike, of course. He has lone operative, so he must be alone. And when he's outside, does lone operative have to be alone? Or well, actually, is he a leader? So it won't matter. Yeah, no, he's not a leader, so he is alone. Lone operatives tend to be.
And it's if you're outside of 12,
Then you can't target him. Yeah, he's untargetable outside of 12. He has stealth as well, so if you are shooting at him, he's -1 to hit.
Yep.
He, of course, has the Shut's Chaos. Formless Horror. Each time an enemy unit wishes to select this model as a target of attack, that unit must first take a battle shock test. And remember, they might be at -1 if they're in your shadow, and if they fail, they could take D3 wounds if they are. If the test has failed, in addition to being battle shot, so you have to take a battle shot test when you want to target him. If you fail it, you are battle shot, and the unit cannot target that model.
Yep.
So you wanted to hit him, you're not allowed to. Mischief and
Very
Confusion.
annoying.
At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy within 12 inches invisible and roll d6. On a 2 to 5, until the end of the phase, each time a model enemy unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll, and on a 6, they're not allowed to shoot.
Ugh.
You're not guaranteed to get any of the things this guy has, but if you have a Tzeentch army, you're taking him, or if you have the spare points in whatever army. I know Josh was taking him in his mostly
Chaos. Yep.
Knights.
That's exactly what I. The moment he read his abilities, that's where I threw all of my flaming breath, and that's where I threw the whip.
Yes.
I just literally threw everything at him to try to knock him out because that I think it was it wasn't the second thing that annoyed me. It was the first thing.
It's a battle shock.
But also the second thing as well. It was a pain in the butt model.
The first one makes him a hassle to target. The second one makes him a must target. Because it's only 1 in 6, but if I happen to roll that 6, you're not even allowed to shoot. If I roll 2 to 5, -1 is actually really, really big in this edition. But not being able to shoot, if I can pick your best unit, if they're within, they do have to be within 12, which means if I'm within 12, you can shoot me because both sides are within 12. But it's a problem you have to deal with.
But you don't have to see him. You don't have to see him, so hide him behind a building. Now you got a little 12-inch bubble.
Yeah, if you can get your 12-inch bubble there, because nothing's no end visible to this model. You have to be able to see it.
Oh, it says invisible?
Yep, and visible to this model. Yep. You gotta dance that knife game.
Oof.
All right. Ranged weapons, of course, has an ignores cover, torrent, psychic, or hazardous attack. It's 12-inch range either way. It's either D6 or D6 plus 3 if you make it hazardous. Strength 6, AP -1 either way. 1 damage or D3 damage. This is one where I might not go to hazardous because if I happen to roll that 1 and he takes 3 wounds, now he's almost gone. The Lord of Change, yes, because on 18 wounds, if I lose 3, I'm still 15. I'm fine, but here I'm a little bit worried about that, especially because half of what I do is these special tricks. Use the hazardous if you really need to carve through someone, but otherwise I'd probably play a little safe. For his melee weapon, which is psychic, of course, it's 3 attacks. Hits on 4, strength 4, AP -1, D3 damage. You don't want this guy in close combat. He's going down if he is.
Yeah.
But, Formless Horror still goes off. If they want to swing at you, they have to take that battle shock. You want him and anything he wants to fight to be in your aura so you can battle shock them at that -1, cause them D3 wounds, and then they can't even fight you. So, that is quite a bit big. Because remember, you're forcing out-of-turn battle shocks, and that means they can't target themselves with stratagems. So that's going to do you a lot of good. I think the Changeling is great. He is quite cheap, so he's a very good addition to put into your army to get a lot of efficacy out of. I think when we're done, we'll talk about the idea of like, what if you're not running that mono list? But I see him as a good option in whatever you're running because he has some good utility, and he's not He's not buffed in any way. Really? Okay, yeah, I know the Lord of Change's ability helps him a little bit, but he's not that like hugely buffed by being in faction. He buffs your army more than necessarily by being in his faction. So, and like his by faction I mean being Tzeentch.
All right.
But
Fateskimmer, the another dumb looking model.
I
In my
think I still
opinion,
have one of these sitting
I
around
don't like
somewhere.
these skimmer models. These chariot models. They don't do it for me.
Yeah.
All right. So Fateskimmer, 12-inch move, 7 toughness, 4 up invulnerable. Don't worry about the save. 9 wounds, leadership 7, OC 3. Um, his abilities. While this model is leading, who does he lead? Probably screamers,
Yeah,
right?
he leads screamers.
Okay. So while leading this unit, the melee weapons have lethal hits.
Always
Okay.
good.
Always good. 6 to hit. Bypassing the wounds. Great. Once per battle at the end of the opponent's turn, if this is not within engage range, you can remove that unit and place it back to the strategic reserve. So he can go back into deep strike if he's not in engagement range, and he does it for free. Once per battle. Okay. And it's the end of your opponent's turn.
Yes. So that means
That's
they
good.
Yeah, so they're going to come right back down on yours.
Yep.
Screamers are very good for getting to objectives and things like that. So this is another way if you need them absolutely on the other side of the board, take them up, pop them down on your turn, sit in a good objective range, and then kind of rush around there instead.
So we have Arcane Fireball as the range weapon. They're both psychic. One's hazardous and devastating wounds if you go hazardous. Ooh. Both are 3 attacks. Both are hit on 3s. It goes up a strength from 5 to 6 if you go hazardous, devastating wounds. It goes up an AP from -1 to -2, but the damage stays the same, D3 to D3. 9 wounds. I'll do it like once or twice.
9 wounds I don't mind doing it on.
Yeah.
I need to want to have those extras enough that it's worthwhile doing, but
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it.
And then melee weapons, don't get them into melee. 3 attacks. Are they extra attacks? Oh, thank God. So 3 attacks
It's
at weapons go
screamers.
4, -1 damage. And I'm assuming screamers, if it's 6 attacks, then each screamer has 3 attacks
Yes.
because he's got 2 screamers. So 6 attacks, 4 up to hit, strength 6, AP 2 damage. And honestly, by the way, if screamers are 3 attacks each,
Yeah.
they already hit on 4s, making them lethal hit. That's not bad. Yeah.
It's 1/3 of the hits that you would have got before now just
Yeah.
automatically go in, and AP -2 with 2 damage. That's
2
actually a good
damage.
swing.
Yeah, it's a good swing.
Yeah. He's 105 points, so he's cheap for what he does, or reasonably cheap. I don't think this guy is a necessity. Which is good. You don't want to have to take every single named character, or just, I started saying named character, just character in existence. But I think he will do you some good if you're wanting screamers. If I was doing screamers, I may put him in one unit. If I was running multiple, I would not do multiple of these guys. I think that's just maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Overall, he's good. I mean, points in these sort of things so far have been very drastic. You're either very, very expensive at 300 plus, or you're like 100 points. So they don't have a lot in the middle. So you might be able to fit characters in sometimes a little easier because you can't fit another 300-point monster in half the time. So.
Ooh, the Fluxmaster.
Yep. All right. So for the next one, we are at just, I'm making timestamps. We'll see later if I use them. All right. For the Fluxmaster, actually, this is the guy I think I still have upstairs. I sold my Demons, but I guess I missed selling him, so he's like sitting upstairs on a desk. What is his points? I closed my phone. Why did I do that?
Is he the Fluxmaster? Tell me he's the.
No.
He's at 60. He's 60.
He's 60. Well, he's not because he's not special named like the other one was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He leads either pink horrors or blue horrors. For the Fluxmaster, he is move 12 because he is on a dice. He is toughness 4. He's got 6 up save, but the 4 up invul, of course. He's 4 wounds, leadership 7. Counts for 1 objective. Fluxmaster, when he's leading a unit, each time attack is made, subtract 1 from the hit roll.
Okay.
So he makes them a lot harder to hit for 60 points. That's really, really good because both your blue horrors and pink horrors do not want to get hit. Altered reality, once per round, after a hit roll, a wound roll, or saving throw is made for this model, you may change that result to a 6. The hit and the wound are good. The saving is only going to matter when he's by himself, so when the unit goes down, unless you decide to take him on his own. But you're not going to. It doesn't help. But the other two, especially the to hit or to wound is good, because let's take a look at his abilities here.
I think it's the same as the guy above.
Yes.
Yep.
So that Arcane Fireball, which has devastating wounds, and you can make a wound roll in auto 6.
Okay.
Which means you'll get, at least can guarantee some mortals. So 3 attacks on 3s, you're going to get at least 1 through. You can guarantee at least D3 mortals. That's a useful ability there. And it is once a round, so that means in your opponent's phase, if they do something and you overwatch, either in movement or in assault, you can use it there as well if you wish. His Herald Close Combat Weapons, 3 attacks. It's hits on 4, strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. You're not taking him related to his close combat, and if he's in close combat, you're losing right there. But he's very cheap at 60. You're already going to take, if you're taking Tzeentch, you're taking pink horrors, maybe blue horrors. So for 60 extra points, you're getting -1 to hit on the whole unit, and you're getting to pump out some mortal wounds. That could be worth it. And then if the unit is gone, he's a move 12 with an objective 1, so he can start harassing really weak units with potentially these D3 mortals, or he can just go sit on an objective somewhere for you to kind of get it, because you've kind of cleared your opponent out that way. Overall, I like him. Again, he's cheap, so if you got it spare, I would throw one in. If I was taking a bunch of pink horrors, though, I don't know if I'd throw a whole bunch in, because I think you might just you might be chasing a decent idea with too many points. But why don't you tell us about the Scribes?
Cheat. Now, see, this model I enjoy.
It's a fun model. The blue Scribes are fun.
So 12-inch move, toughness 4, 4 up and vulnerable, 6 wounds, leadership 8. Ugh, that's not good. And OC 2.
They're blue horrors. They're not going to have a good leadership.
I will talk about their melee before their stupid ability. Their melee ability is that they stab you with pen quills, which is awesome. 4 attacks, 5 up, strength 2, 1 damage. Don't anti-psyker 2+ though.
Yeah, so that's mortals on a 2 up versus psychers.
No, not.
Oh, sorry, not mortals. My apologies, because they don't have the extra rule. Sorry, just auto. All right.
So it's still funny as hell. All right, so Pteryx? No, it's good. The P's got to be silenced. So Pteryx Sorceress Siphon. When the enemy unit is within 12 inches of this model, and I don't think he could join anyone. No, he can't. Why can't he join anyone? That's stupid. Oh, he's lone operative. Okay.
Yeah.
While the enemy unit is within 12 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes a psychic attack, subtract 1 from the wound roll.
Good if they got psychers, but if they don't, he's doing nothing.
Yeah. At the end of your movement phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches. On a 2 to 3, they suffer 1, 4 to 5, d3, 6. Okay. How many points is he? If he's
65.
If he's 70, okay.
He's 65.
If I'm playing Tzeentch and it's mono Tzeentch, I would take him.
Right. You had a bad habit there of trailing off when you're reading something that people aren't necessarily seeing either. So on a 6, he does D6 mortal wounds.
Mortal wounds. I did say that, no?
Yeah, but you were trailing off when you're like, oh, it
does okay, got it.
Remember,
I thought I said it in my head.
For them, not us.
Yeah. So if I'm running mono Tzeentch, so like I'm running just Tzeentch, I take him for 65 points and then stick him like annoyingly 6 inches away from like 2 or 3 units and just start bleeding mortal wounds off.
The difficulty is getting him there for more than once and him living, because he's not going to.
Yeah.
If they want to stop him, they will. If you play an enemy who happens to have a bunch of psychers, cool. He's giving you mortal wounds in a little bubble, and he's hurting their powers. If they don't have psychers, at least he's cheap, and they're going to want to have to take him down, because if not, if you start happening to roll some 6s, like they're going to feel bad, like they're going to have to. So it is cool looking though. I do like them. The one on top.
This is the good Goofy that I like.
Yes. Oh no, it is absolutely goofy and over the top. The one of them just like looking like he's rocking out, screaming from a pulpit. at least has a good amount of wounds. Toughness 4 isn't great, but 6 wounds means they actually have to want to shoot at it. Because even like just a squad with like, 10 normal shots, like you're going to miss some. They're not going to wound on all of it. Like you actually do have to throw a little bit something at him. But, and is the blue Scribes, so it is an epic hero.
Oh my God, go away.
Yes. But hey, it's the. There's only these two. All the other ones are just blue horrors. These ones are the only ones who scribe. They're the ones who learned how to write. It's very sad for their type. They're cool. If you got the spare points, sure. But if you don't, it's absolutely fine. Like if you know like where you play, there's tons and tons of psychers. He's a good decision, but otherwise he's a funny little mortal wound thing that might just go away right at the beginning because someone has a free shot at him and they'll just take him out. So, all right, that will take it to me for the Changecaster. For this Changecaster, he is 65 points. Hey, consistent. He has his 6-inch move, toughness 3. He's got his 4-up invul because other save isn't even there. He has 3 wounds, leadership 7, and he can count on 1 objective. He also leads pink horrors or blue horrors.
Don't do hazardous.
Yeah, because the hazardous will just immediately take him out. So he's Changecaster. While this model's leading a unit, ranged attacks equipped by models in this unit have sustained 1. So that is a very useful rule, just getting 1 extra on every 6 you roll to hit. Storm a mutating sorcery. In your shooting phase, as this model has shot, select 1 enemy infantry unit that was hit by one or more of its attacks. It must take a battle shock. Battle shock is great. We already talked about how that's essentially this army special rule is battle shock or doing battle shock or causing battle shock or anything related to it. So any out of sequence battle shock is really good. The Skullcannon did it. Here's one of Tzeentch's ways to do that. He's got an arcane fireball. We've talked about it before. It's the same one that we've seen. I wouldn't do the hazardous unless you really, really need it. Like, I better make sure that unit goes down, or I hope I get the devastating wounds part. Otherwise, don't. His melee weapon, it's that same combat weapon. It's 1 damage, AP -1 on 3 attacks on 4s. Not good. He's there to give sustained hits and to cause battle shocks. For those points, I would absolutely consider it. If I'm running mono Tzeentch, I do like the idea of one of these guys because I want to battle shock you because that's our whole trick. And it's going to be better for me if you are, especially if you're taking like Kairos. If I can make you battle shock and fail on a unit that might have wanted to use some stratagems, and I make this other one more expensive that your other unit wants to do, I might be kind of cutting off your whole stratagem usage. This other unit would have used this other one that you didn't make more expensive or is free. Well, you're not even allowed to use it now. So, actually, good stratagem theoretically to target is the one that auto passes a battle shock. Even if they're taking a bunch of that because they're taking mortal wounds from you potentially.
I think if I remember correctly, horrors also reduce the leadership by 1 if you're near them. So it also helps with if you're in Shadow of the Warp. So now you're -2 leadership.
We're getting to blue horrors.
Oh, okay, we're going to big horrors now. Okay, yeah. Let me scroll down. I think if I remember correctly, they reduce leadership by 1.
No, they have the things to up their own leadership, but they don't reduce it.
No. Cackling horrors.
Where on? Oh, sorry, you said blue. I was looking at pink. My
blue,
apologies.
blue.
Okay, all right. Well, we're about to get to blue horrors, so you're going to take blue horrors.
Oh, well, perfect.
Either way,
blue horrors. Here's your battle line. They are movement 6, toughness 3, 4-up invulnerable. That's the highest save I've seen so far.
Okay, let's stop for a second. Cover.
Okay, that's all I can think of. That's it. That's all I can think of.
How are they getting to even a 6-up? What else would they need?
Is there a +1 armor?
Is there a base +1? No. Not that I know of. I don't know them all the time. Maybe there is one, but like maybe they just do it like, no, you just don't get a save. We got to put stat down.
I know 7 can go to 6. I think 8 is just because why didn't they just put a dash?
There might be some stuff. Maybe there's something we're not thinking of, or in the future there might be something. Who knows? But currently, I can't think of anything that would actually get.
But I'm thinking like looking at them like, okay.
They're infiltrators.
So anyway, they are infiltrators. That is very big. They split. So I'm going to explain what split is. I'm going to toss in the pink horror one as well, because the pink horror just does what the blue horror. So I'm going to say what the pink horror is, and I'm going to go back to blue horror. So pink horror split is whenever a model is destroyed after the attacking unit is finished making its attack. If the unit is not destroyed, roll 1d6 for that model. If it was a pink horror, add 2 blue horrors. Now, if I go up to the blue horror split, if it's a blue horror on a 4+, it adds 1 brimstone horror, and it's the same for pink. So basically, just to kind of TLDR it, you go from pink to 2 blue, and if one of those blue dies, 1 brimstone.
What the craziest part of this, because I watched it happen last week. We're supposed to have a tournament. We canceled it because it was just going to be way too hot without the air. But some people still came over. We played some games and all. But you can start with 10 models in your pink horror unit, and then later you actually have more models.
Yep. Interesting here, and maybe this is the way I'm reading it. After the attacking unit has finished making its attack, so you don't wait for the entire army to shoot them. The moment that unit stops shooting them, they split.
Yes. It is after each attack is completed, they start splitting. So I watched a case where after like 2 different units or 3 different units shot at that unit, they had more models than they started with.
That's funny. That's real funny. Cackling Horror, 6 inches, enemy models, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic. That's big.
It's great in an army where you want them to be having worse leadership.
Exactly. Exploding Horrors. Each time this unit...
That was the one where they become brimstones. It's the same.
No,
rule.
That's the split.
Yeah, exploding horrors is this rule for them.
No, this.
This is very different. My apologies. That's split.
This is different. Right. Yeah, each time a unit is selected to fight, you can select 1 enemy unit with engagement range. If of it, then select 1 or more brimstone horror models in that unit. For each brimstone horror you select, roll a 4-up, d6. On a 4-up, that model is destroyed, and the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Look at those little brimstones. They're like little fire guys.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So they will literally, if there's like 6 or 7 brimstones in there, you could just be like, all right, all of them are gone, but on a 4-up, you take a mortal wound. Okay. That's good.
Well, but notice, though, very careful on the wording here. For each of them you roll on a 4-up, the model is destroyed and the enemy suffers it.
Yeah.
If you don't roll the 4-up, they're not gone.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you notice, there's nothing that happens if you fail. It's if you succeed, something good happens.
I'm just scrolling between blue cars and big cars.
Yeah,
honestly, I'll just do pink cars because I think pink and So I'm going to skip the pink cars, not because I want to skip the stats, but because pink cars also include blue horrors and yellow horrors in their unit stats. I should point out, by the way, that pink horrors can actually carry war gear, which is the same war gear that other demons get. Yep. They can add 1 charge and they get leadership of 6. And they're both deep strike, right? Although blue horrors, if you take them as a unit, which is interesting. So blue horrors get infiltrators if you start with blue horrors.
Yes, you'd have to have just blue
pink horrors do not get that, but they get that extra, now I turn to blue horrors. So essentially, if they're... Oh, boy. So, okay. The ranged weapons are all psychic. As you go from pink to blue to yellow, right? The range stays the same. The attacks stay the same. You go from ballistic skill 3-up to 4-up to 5-up. You go from strength 4, 3 to 2. The AP stays the same at -1, and the damage stays at 1. Same thing with melee weapons. The pink cars get 1, although blue cars get 1, yellow get 2, but that's because there's 2 of them on the base. You go weapon skill 4, 5, 5, strength 3, 3, 2, and damage 1, 1, 1, all AP 0. So, as a battle line unit, very annoying.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting note, by the way. If at any point there's a designer's note.
So while you're reading that, blue horrors by themselves is 125 points for 10. For the pink horrors, it's 140 points for the 10.
So here's an interesting. If at any point this unit contains no pink horror models, use the blue horror data sheet for this unit. right?
Yeah.
Um, Designer's note: while this unit contains one or more pink horror models, the cackling horror and exploding abilities does not apply to this unit.
Nope.
So you want to kill off the pinks. You don't want to keep.
It depends.
Yeah.
So the pink horrors are the better unit in terms of your ranged and
Just everything.
your
Yeah.
melee. If you're starting with a unit of pink horrors, you're starting them further back, and your goal is at some point you'll be a bunch of blue horrors and brimstone horrors. You're probably not aiming to like destroy them in such a way to turn it that way, unless you have them. Maybe you do try to take the first 10 wounds on them, and just get a whole bunch of extra blues out or something. But see, units like this though just cause all kinds of weird. I guess in this it's a little bit easier. All kind of weird things.
In last edition, it was a lot harder. I will tell you that right now.
Well, because you had to pay for it.
Yes,
Right.
and
in the future you might have to. Right now it's index 40k. Everyone's a freebie, but you might have to pay for it someday. You're going to. They're going to make you pay for stuff like this at some point.
Talking about these flamers.
Because if you think just for this unit, so you start with 10, you could theoretically turn that 10 to 20, then to another 20.
Yeah.
So you could absolutely be here like all day. But again, this is your battle line. You have some ways to buff them. We know there was ways to get them stealth. We know there was ways to get some other pluses on them as well. So you can get a lot of work out of these guys.
Stupid thing I want to add. Did you read the stupid designer's note title?
No, what was it called?
Horrors are pink. Horrors are blue. Where once there was one, now there are two.
I enjoy a good limerick, personally.
Yes. That's... Thank you, GW, for that. That does put a smile on my face. Thank you for
that. I like that. I think it works well.
Does not go unnoticed.
No. All right, Flamers. For Flamers, I close my phone like right as I'm about to start talking because I do everything backwards today, it turns out.
What do you need, the points?
Yeah, I got them here. 65 for 3 or 130 for 6. Move 9, so reasonably fast. Toughness 4, they got the 7 save, but the 4 up invul, so you're using that. 3 wounds, 7 up for their leadership. They count for 1 objective piece. Bounding leaps, they're eligible to shoot when they fall back. That's their special rule.
Okay.
Range weapon, it of course is ignores, cover, torrent. It's psychic as well for spots where that matters. D6 attacks each. We talked about as a strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. Anything that's torrent and ignores the cover is pretty decent, especially having the -1 AP.
It has. I was gonna say it has the -1 AP, which I think normal flamers don't have.
No, normal flamers do not have that. Sometimes normal flamers are like strength 5 instead of 4. It's a trade-off which one is which. If you're going against Space Marines, this is pretty good because they're not getting cover, not getting any other bonuses. Yeah, the strength of it isn't that great, but you're not going to target this at big, heavy things. You're targeting this stuff that's a little bit lighter, and it's 12-inch range, so you do have deep strike. So if you want to deep strike them in, since you have to be outside of 9, you can guarantee in most cases that you're close enough to the things you want, or that reactive deep strike even for something like this. Your opponent's done moving. I can put these guys in a line of sightless spot, then pop them forward. You have some options. In general, I like them. Anything that has torrent, I think, is worth looking at. And in this sort of army, where you're wanting more shots, more range, and like I said, there's some ways to get some extra bonuses on this with some of the other models that we've talked about. I do think that's good. And like I said, especially when you're talking about in terms of Overwatch. Overwatching something with torrent, especially versus, say, a Marine style level of toughness and all, you're going to get something good out of that. So, not too much else to say about them. I don't see... It is luckily not like the past where you'd run a bunch of them and they were the meta and they were crushing everything. I'm glad it's not that, but...
Remember, you could always give them an extra AP, too, as well, with the stratagem.
Yes. Yeah, go into AP too. You have some options to buff it, and I think you would want to, but they're cheap. Yeah, for what you get, they're actually pretty cheap. All right, talk about the Exalted Flamer for. Go ahead.
No, randomly. No. The 5d6 is random, but it's still good.
But it's torrent, which I'm fine with. Yeah. I don't mind random as much when I get to auto wound something. Oh, sorry,
Exactly.
auto hit. My apologies. Auto hit something. Because if I roll that d6, if I only roll like a 2, there's a chance on like 3 or 4 hits I was only going to get 2 anyway. So if I'm auto hitting, that's saving you a lot. All right. Talk about their leader. Their leader, I think he was like 60 some points. I just looked at him.
While you look it up.
70.
So
70
Exalt. Oh,
points.
sorry. So Exalted Flamer, same move, same toughness, same save, same invulnerable. More wounds, obviously. He's 6 wounds to their 3. Leadership 7, OC 1. Blazing Warp Fire. So this model is when this model is leading a unit, obviously of the Flamers. That unit has the assault ability. Oh, so they can now run and do this auto hit weapon. Okay, that's
They could hit you turn 1 with it if they want. Then, if you're
and
on the line and they're on the line, you can hit
yeah.
them.
Flames of Change. In the shooting phase, after this model has been shot, select one enemy unit hit by, excluding monsters and vehicles, hit by one or more of those attacks, and roll 1d6 on a 4 up. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, the enemy unit is on fire. While a unit is on fire of flame, subtract 2 from the move characteristic and subtract 2 from the advance and charge rolls made for it. Ooh.
Yep. So you have him in a unit of flamers. You have a 9-inch move plus your d6. If you get, let's say a 24-inch dead zone, it's not always 24. But if you get a 4 up, then you'll be within range to hit them, and you're slowing that unit down.
Mm-hmm. Now, he has 2 attacks. You could do the blue fire, which is more range, 18 inches, 3 attacks, 3 up to hit, strength 9, AP 3, 3 damage. So it's a more powerful ability. But you could also do pink fire, which is they both ignore cover, by the way. But this is now Torrent with 2d6 attacks, strength 5, AP minus 1, 1 damage. Yeah, you stick him in a unit of 5 flamers and deep strike down. That's what, 5d6 from the flamers plus another 2d6 from this dude.
Flamers are
2 to
3
5
models or 6.
Why? So why would the unit composition be 2 if it starts at 3? God damn it, GW. Wait.
What are you talking about?
Oh, I forgot the Pyrocaster.
Yeah,
That's why.
Because the leader.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, all right, so 3 or 6 makes sense. So yeah, you take 6 of these with 1 Exalted Flamer, deep strike them in within 12 inches. You have what, 66 at AP minus 1 or AP minus 2. Mm-hmm. And then another 2d6 at AP minus 1 or AP minus 2. Sure, it's 1 damage, but that's still.
Yeah.
When they auto hit. Yeah.
It's always the idea of be smart with your targets. You're not going to go after the biggest, heaviest, craziest thing. You're going to go after some lighter units. Or you're going to target the unit that you're worried about. Because on a 4-up, you slow them down. It's not guaranteed, but on a 4-up, so you target the unit that you want a little slower. Because if you can get that, that's a big hampering.
Yep.
So, all right. That's the Exalted Flamer.
Screamers!
Oh, there we go. It took it a second. It jumped a little bit on me there. Still doing my timestamps. We'll see if I use them or not. Oop, just changed another minute. There we go. All right, Screamers. Oh, I didn't close up my phone this time, so I can take a look and see that Screamers are on the next thing. There it goes. They're 30 points a model, essentially. 3 for 90, 6 for 180. They're move 14, so they're very fast. Toughness 4, yes. They have the 4-up invul. 3 wounds a guy on leadership 7, 1 objective each. Slashing dive. So in your movement phase, after they end a normal move, so you can't advance, it has to be a normal move. You can select one enemy unit that you moved over and roll d6 for every model in this unit. On a 4-up, they suffer a mortal wound. So here's a way to kind of essentially hit people as you move past them. On 14, you can get very good movement. Like I said, it is a normal move, though, so you can't do this off of an advance. And then for the weapon, it's Lamp Praise Bright. There are 3 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 6, AP minus 2, 2 damage. We did talk about that profile before. Screamers are a great unit. In terms of this army, they're very good because they're very fast. Getting to be able to do some mortal wounds out is nice, but they're able to rush around and grab some of these objectives because, remember one, you can't deep strike everything. You do have some stratagems that let you pull, or options that you have to pull some models back off the board, put them back down, but you still need a board presence. Remember, in this edition, unlike 9th, if you are tabled, you lose. So you do want to be careful of how much stuff you're pulling off the board. But with Screamers having that sort of speed, if you're nowhere near an opponent, you could advance, get to a good position. If you're near them, rush over them, call some mortals, pop right on the other side of them, and then charge into them. Because you might not have a whole lot of attacks, but Strength 6, AP minus 2 damage is a really good number. So especially if they have maybe some solo type characters or a non-dedicated combat unit, you can absolutely get to them, get some mortals in, and then rush in. And if they're not dedicated, you'll be able to get through some of those units for sure. If it's an amalgamated force, I still think these guys have some places because the mortals are nice and that speed is really useful. So I saw Josh use like some packs of 3 was what he was doing.
Yes, and they were annoying. I had to actually take them out because they kept stealing my objectives.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're going to go and take your objectives.
Yep.
They're not very expensive for that, and they're fast enough to get to them. So if your opponent leaves, you can get to them, or if your opponent leaves something light, you can take it. All right, we got a burning chariot. Well, I should say.
It's the same exact. It's the Exalted Flamer, but on a Screamer. Okay, so 12-inch move, toughness 8, 4 up invulnerables, 9 wounds, 7 leadership, OC 3. Very similar to all the other chariots.
Yes.
It has an ability in your shooting phase after this model has shot. Select one enemy unit that was hit, and until the end of the phase, that unit cannot have the benefit of cover.
There's a lot of ignores cover already in this, so I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
For mono Tzeentch, I don't like it, but if you're mixing it with other pieces, then it gets better.
And then the range weapons are exactly the same, so you can shoot blue fire, 18-inch, 3 attacks, 3+ to hit, strength 9 AP, 3 damage, or you could shoot pink fire. So this is 12-inch, 2d6, strength 5 AP, minus 1 damage. And then in melee, you can do the Screamer bites, which are basically 3 Screamers?
Yeah, that's just Screamers.
Is it 3 this time, though? Because it's 6 attacks, I'm assuming.
It's 2. Screamers are 3 attacks each.
Oh,
he's being drugged by 2 Screamers.
Got it. And then the Flamer Mouths, which is the same as the guy above. So how many points is he?
Let me check. Burning Chariot's 135.
This is the most meh I got. he's meh for me.
If you're running if you're running a mono god army, you're always going to potentially run into the issue of you don't have that many units. So you might do it just because, like, hey, I got some points and I don't want to run a whole nother unit of this thing I already took a bunch of. So there, sure. But for the things that he has in a mono, it doesn't excite me very much. I already have some of these sort of shots. It's not like he's moving crazy faster. His toughness 8 on 9 wounds is kind of nice with some of those stats that we saw there. But like his Eldritch Flame, I want that with something else. Because not getting cover, I already got a lot of stuff that's ignoring your cover. Because I got a lot of flame type weapons or just general ignores cover. So I'm not huge on him. I think he's decent, but it might be better served by grabbing some other models instead.
Yeah. What are we on the time for the podcast? Out of stupid curiosity.
We're at 2 hours and 33 minutes. So I don't think we're going to get through the other ones. It's taking.
No, I was just saying. I was also thinking do Be'lakor, the last 4, which is the unaligned guys. Be'lakor, Soul Grinder, and the 2 Demon Princes. But we might not have enough time to do that.
I think what would work well is if we did it with the other 2 gods, because we won't have the intro stuff to go through.
Very true.
Because
that would make
sense.
That
stuff took like 30-some minutes.
Which makes sense on this, and it just should take us 30 minutes. We spent around 10 minutes per card, so yeah, no. Well, okay, we're good.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. We got through 2. I think that's good. And I know we both, at least for a little bit, are a little more off, so maybe we'll be able to record a little more often just to try to get through more of this stuff.
Yep.
All right. So some overall thoughts on Tzeentch then.
I mean, listen, I still like it. It's a good you could run it mono, you can run it combined. It's a good ally if you want to have some shooting attacks. Dropping down 6 flamers with the Exalted Flamer attached is that under what 500 you get? Yeah, that should be under 500. Yeah,
you can fit that.
It's great as allies. It's great as mono. Although I will laugh hilariously if some random dude at a tournament comes in with a Sisters of Silence army. And all of a sudden, you're looking at mass 3-up invulnerable against your psychic attacks.
Yeah, but there's always like weird cases like that. Like, yeah,
Yeah, no, I was just that would put a smile on my face, not because I feel bad or good or anything, but just the level of like, who the hell owns that many sisters? And then on top of that,
you.
oh my god, this is the literal bane of your army.
So talking first is mono because I think the overall talk is going to happen more once we go through everything. Talking as mono, this is obviously the exact opposite in many ways what we saw. This is a shooting army. There is Lords of Change have some assault ability. The biggest thing I see from what we know right now, and we know there's some unaligned units that we're going to get to. The biggest sort of issues I see here is your ability to take down heavy things. Since you have a lot of shooting and some decent strength, some of it gets to 9 and all, but against some of these vehicles, you got some vehicles at 10s and 11s and 12s and all. So I see this army succeeding very well, just as pure mono without any of the extras, against lighter armies, more infantry style armies, especially with your minusing extra -1s the battle shock from blue horrors and all of that. You can really carve that down. If someone comes in with a lot of heavy vehicles and all, this army's going to struggle greatly because it's not geared for that. Now, you have soul grinders that are going to help with that fact. Maybe Bellicor are going to help with that fact. But if we're just purely looking at the flavor you get here, it's going to struggle with some of that. As for where it mixes in, I think like Fate Weaver is good in just about any list because the things he does are very nice to do. Not nice to your opponent, but it's really going to help your army out. I think we looked at those Flamers are a great option. So we've looked at a few things. I think Pink Horrors are a great objective control unit because you have a chance to turn it into blue and then turning them to Brim. So they're very tough to shift. So overall, I like them. I think of these, it's probably a toss-up which one is stronger. The reason being is shooting is a little stronger this edition in general. But Khorne might have the advantage because it can fight its way out of whatever sort of bag it's put in, where this one is going to struggle against heavy things. It's really not going to be able to deal with it well at all. So, all right, well, I think that does it for us tonight. So on behalf of both of us, we do want to thank you for listening, watching, whichever way that you end up going through all of this. Remember, we put this out on any podcatcher, so things like reviews and stuff like that, especially on Apple, really helps us out. We put all of this as well as a bunch of other content out on YouTube. For YouTube, especially as we reach out to companies and try to, get cooperation with them to be able to get things, to be able to bring out better content and all for you guys. Likes, comments, subscribes, all that stuff really helps. That's the stuff they look for. They don't care unless you're getting those numbers, so that kind of stuff, it really does help us out. As always, we do also have our Patreon. If you like the content that we put out, especially now as we start getting back to it, and you have the means and want to support us, that's a great way. It helps us cover both the cost of the show and upgrade things. Like I said, the new audio equipment I just bought, paid for it out of pocket. It costs some money, so that kind of stuff really does help us be able to upgrade and be able to do the things that we want to be able to do and do them well and better than we have. For what we're doing after this, should hopefully have some game recordings coming out next week because we're going to try to record them this week.
Yep.
As for next week, also probably some more 40K stuff. Hopefully Steven's in a better spot. I know computer issues have been a big thing for him, but hopefully he's back in a better spot with that, so we can start getting some more 30K stuff out as well. And then look for some more Shatterpoint stuff after this weekend. Look for some more Conquest stuff because I do have a few ode videos for that. I have a lot of it put together. I've just been unable to get to sit down and edit or fit one. I have to film the other one.
It has been not a great start to the summer for anyone.
No, my whole thought was like, oh man, this summer I'll be able to get so much done. And just haven't. But there's still quite a bit of time left.
This is so not going into personal reasons, but this has been the 5th summer in a row where something drastic has happened in my life.
No, I understand.
And nothing with my wife or anything, but just this is the 5th year in a row where literally at the start of summer, something like life altering has happened. Yeah. Every single time. At this point, I'm just like, I'm almost now scared of the summer to enter.
Now, because it's been weird because I was like, okay, I'll have all this time to do this, and it just hasn't happened. Now, still plenty of time left. I still don't have to, I go work, I don't know, like 2 hours a day for a few days a week for the next little bit. but I don't really go back for the better part of 2 more months. So still plenty of time to actually get a bunch of stuff done. And I want to, if you're playing more stuff on TTS, then I'll join you
Yeah,
and film it, or
sounds
we'll
good.
play some games. We'll do that kind of stuff and stuff in person. So especially once we have the new audio stuff. So we have plenty more that we want to do. It turned out June was a terrible month, but July's already looking better alone. So
Yep.
all right. You should get hopefully multiple things out of us next week. That's the plan. But otherwise, on behalf of everyone here at the show, have a good hobby. It's a great gaming.